why we have to start like this is I want you to first introduce yourself.
Yeah.
Then, because a lot of people have complained about. Usually, I can just start a conversation from anywhere, right? It's plug play. I am extensive. We are looking at making this room just studio. We cannot this room. We're looking at moving it from here to like a bigger space, but where it's now studio. Yeah? We just come and find the equipment. You sit and talk. Whenever you feel like you have a conversation, because there's when I want to have conversations with people at 3 a.m. in the night, I connect them, that's the version, and they can have it. My time is very flexible. It's when I'm really occupied during the day and start and go like that. So the thing with just starting those conversations is that the listeners fail to understand who the person that is hosted is about.
Oh.
So I ask the guests to introduce themselves, to give a big perspective to whoever is going to listen. To know what's up. So it's your turn. It's your go.
All right. Thanks, Mark. Thank you for having me. I've been I'm a follower of the platform, at least YouTube and Twitter mostly. Though mostly Twitter. The snippets you guys keep sharing. And I may not be specific on what conversations are followed, but I like the space you create. And the name is so fitting because they're big conversations. We're all ordinary people. Though abamu vetuloza tuli bachitalo nnyo. But also sometimes they say oli wachitalo nga bolowooza. But also sometimes in life toli wachitalo nga bolowooza.
Most times actually.
Most times toli wachitalo nga bolowooza. You ain't shit, man.
I agree.
And the lockdown, I think, the pandemic, away from the sickness and all, the whole idea of, us being, contained. I think it was a reminder that tetuli bachitalonga wetwali tulowoza. I mean, man, we spent weeks without driving your own car. You're scared of.
So yeah, like you'd think, maybe tomorrow is going to be different.
Yes. So these conversations, I like them. And so, I'm Emmanuel Bussulwa, Cheche. Most people wonder why I have Cheche, Bussulwa. Yes, I have family trees. My family tree has branches. And I thank God for those branches because they've helped me to have perspective about life from different angles. How would I say? I'm born and raised in Entebbe. But I had a big chunk of my childhood way out of Entebbe, in Chotera to be specific. And at the time, it looked like Wasafari. Like, oh my God, how could my parents leave me here? What? How? But I was staying with my grandmom, and Jaja is Jaja. Though away from Jaja's house, I was going to school in the neighborhood. So, in the holidays, you're in Entebbe. And during the time, you're deep in Canada. I don't know if you... Canada means Chotera, then you go Mutukula, then... Like those ends where network, they tell you, Airtel Tanzania welcomes you. So I'm Emmanuel Bussulwa. I'm a few years old. I'm on my 3rd floor now. Very happy and thankful for that. Given what we've gone through, I thank God for where I am today. Professionally, I'm a tech entrepreneur. I have my hands in a couple of jars in tech, mostly fintech products. 1 or 2 mostly. I had crazy dreams of having a big buffet of things, but I realized we have to grade to those things. When you try to do so much at once, you don't do anything, actually. You might end up not doing anything. So unless you have a big budget to back up all these ventures, it is important that you go slowly.
So what do you believe in? To be a master of all trades? How do they say? Master of all trades, jack of none.
Jack of none, huh?
Yeah, but when like you do not have to be an expert.
Yes.
On like a god to something.
Yes.
When you can get several things done. I feel like that's the best way to say
I believe it's important for us to be knowledgeable on as many things as possible. It's sad when people sit in rooms and when a conversation takes off into this direction, people shut down. We joke about it, but it's important for you to know what's going on. Right now we have so many things going on globally. The riots in France, back here at home. This morning I woke up to big businessman in Kampala just passed away.
Yeah.
Why? How? Is it, you know, act of nature? Is it, you know, the conspiracy theorists are now at it. But, you know, Ukraine war, this, that, climate change, finance, tech. I think it's a healthy thing, on a personal note, for all of us to know a thing or two about things. But try to be the best at least one thing.
Okay, I've come to not agree with that. Right?
Okay.
Because
you may not be the best.
times are very dynamic,
Just a
right?
second, Mark.
Yeah.
You may not be the best, but try to be so polished in a certain direction.
True.
Okay? I know you host us people. You host people here, different people. But you have your forte. In that, if we were to host you also, there is that one thing where you'll be like, let's go in this direction. But you see, you're pretty informed on many things.
True. I see that. But I was also going to bring up, now like the right upon his death, a guy like him who allegedly is a billionaire, right?
But also we see the investments.
Yeah, they're quite large. But also he has no formal education, right? So that means to him, the only way that can make sense is he has tried to do as many things as possible. Right? He has tried to put his hand in so many things to get money. And yeah, it could still not make sense. He could attach his wealth to like politics or to the political environment, but you can still see the investments. They're standing.
Yeah.
But it's everything. He has okay, me I know a lot of investors. But I also know a supermarket. I don't know if it's supermarket, it's all that.
The building.
So a supermarket
from what I recall growing up, because I went to school with a certain family. And based on my knowledge of that, the building is his. The supermarket is for another family. Who I think I know. Could be wrong. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's
because if you know, the supermarket, you started from the old park. The actual old park. There's a little one. Then the current, what we call the current new park, I think. You know, those parks confuse me.
Yeah.
But there was a bus park which is like Namirembe Road or something. There was a standard. It was actually always called standard. Then this other taxi park, which is recently tarmacked and all.
The new taxi park?
The new taxi park. Then second standard. So there were two for a long time when I think we were in O-level or something, because I was in school and the son was a good friend of mine, Brian and the siblings. Then mega standard was convenient because so from the little I know, the building is for the rent, the business. But that's the little I know. I speak with no authority. Yeah.
It's sad though.
Yeah. It was very unfortunate. Very unfortunate actually.
I've always thought, I don't know, accidents, right?
Yeah.
Is there a way you think we can avoid accidents?
There's avoidable trouble. The same way you were.
Because I've been seeing that the environment on Twitter, people complaining about traffic and the lorries staying there. It's a thing. I've been up country last week. I was in Budaka. You'd still find
packed lorries in the middle of nowhere with no signage at all. Now I stay in Entebbe, and the most unfortunate thing is for us who use the express on a daily is that in the middle of nowhere you find a UPDF truck. I don't know if it's still because you travel, but I've wanted to tweet this a million times. Please stop dumping your trucks in the middle of the highway.
Wait, it's in the middle or on the side?
That thing is huge. So much as it is in the side, it's covering a full lane. You get me? But our friends in the forces have a habit of littering that road with trucks. Sometimes I don't know if they're deploying people. Yeah,
but also the what? The CRC is from that side, so maybe it's like a sport watch team, right?
It's a highway and it's a public road. You know, there are local things we do in this country when there's a broken track. You put leaves. I mean, even me seeing those uniforms is enough to tell me that, okay, something is coming up. I mean, these days we all know when the guy is, you know, going for his meetings and all, they litter that whole road with. That's good enough to show me that. In fact, as an Entebbe resident, now I know. Monday and Tuesday, I know.
He moves.
Monday and Tuesday, he has to move.
What were they doing previously before that road? They were closing off. Guys?
Before the expressway, we used to have, you know, the normal road, but they'll just stop us when it's actually moving. It's different now. The guy could be brushing his teeth and they stop you guys. Because now when you stop, man, you stop for so long. You stop for so long. Those days used to be...
How long is, like, roughly?
Roughly now, I think you could easily lose the 30 minutes in your journey. If it catches you and that guy is about to move. And both directions. Because from Entebbe side, they'll cut off all traffic from the airport up to around State House.
You know, why did you make that decision to go back to Entebbe?
I love it, man. I love it. My peace of mind needed a certain space.
Because that looks like a problem that cannot be solved.
Yeah, but he's not a permanent fixture in our lives.
But the system is permanent, right?
We'll see.
We're going to feed into the same thing.
It looks that way, by the way.
Yeah.
But let's see. But also, that doesn't happen every day. I've told you it happens on Monday and Tuesday. And between a specific hour. It's after work. So it's at around 6 p.m. So much as at least it's outside the work window, but it's still inconveniencing because that's why you pay for that road. For the for the convenience.
Yeah, but the work window is different, right? For everyone.
But are you sure you want to go down this conversation?
It's very, very
okay,
different.
these are pain points as voters. So
and
yes,
it's cool, really.
you know, as citizens. And I'm not the only
I
one.
take all this as feedback, right?
Yeah,
the government should be able to take in some feedback.
Yeah. You know, the lock of... I've been caught at Kalere before. And by the time they lock Kalere, the big man is still in Nakasimi. Okay? And then you wait, and you wait, and you wait, and you wait, and you wait. And they have a tendency of locking all the way. Okay, I'm not speaking with authority, but from my experience. Because you really wait. 30 minutes normally gets me from Entebbe to Kalere. 30 minutes in a normal drive. Normal speed, 80. So that means when I sit for 30 minutes to wait for the big guy to move, you lose so much. It's wrong, it's painful. But on some streets they say, is
there a way you can track some bit of that inconsistency into your economical life and say things like this to why you have not yet gotten to where I want to do business?
Personally?
Yeah, personally.
I can't pinpoint it on a personal note, but at least the statistics we can work with. On average, they say we lose about 500 million a day as an economy because of traffic jam. Traffic jam, the usual congestion around the city. Now, when you add that plus, you know, these things, and for me, what hurts most.
Do you put the traffic jam issue in your perspective?
Yeah.
Do you put it on our behavior as a people, or do you put it on poor planning?
I would say there's external factors and internal factors. The external factors start with the fact that our city has done its time, in my opinion. I'm not so traveled, but I've been blessed to be around a few African cities. I mean, these are countries that used to come here to see, I'm told, benchmark. Why did we go wrong? So most of Kampala's infrastructure, road infrastructure, has outlived its time. We need to rethink things. Case in point is the Mulago roundabout. Why do we still have that thing there? You know, it holds up so many people.
Which one?
Mulago roundabout. What we call Mulago. The one outside the pharmacy. It's called what? Something
Fast.
pharmacy. Yes, that thing has outdone its time. I'm not an engineer.
No,
but as a
it's
citizen,
really, right?
yes, that thing is, it's a fossil. It's just, imagine if they put that thing up and just, you know, even just lights. Yeah, even lights would change everything. Because those going through would continue. Those going, you know, from Wandegea to Kamwacha would continue. And then, so I think we need something there.
But I've seen they have introduced traffic roundabout lights.
Sometimes they feel
I don't even know. Yeah, I don't know.
Sometimes I don't know why.
Like the ones that
Exactly. Like, but there's many times I just drive through. You know, like, oh shit, is there an office around? Let's go. Yeah, but I wanted to go back a little. We lose on average 500 million a day as an economy. But when you sift through all these issues, we could say infrastructure, we could say this and that. But I think we lack a proper public transport system. When you visit cities like that, okay, Kigali, we could argue that they're smaller, but they're quite intentional, we could say. They're quite intentional about
what
themselves. Yes! And Nairobi is also quite chaotic, but you can see there's a sense of organization even in that madness of Nairobi. It's called what? bus rapid something system. They have a bus system in Dar. They actually do have a bus system. They have a proper bus lane. We don't have those things here. But I believe not all of us drive to work every day because we enjoy it. Because we hate the inconvenience of what we have for public means. Let me tell you, Mark, it's so painful when a taxi waits up there and starts saying, Ogenda, Ogenda, and they're trying to talk to a chick who has AirPods in her ears. Ogenda, and we wait. And then when the chick reaches the taxi like this, she says, no. And you're like, I strongly believe, if we had an organized public transport system, I would use it on a daily. For example, the train that goes to Mukono, unfortunately, stops in Namamve.
I've just
but that is something. Yeah, but that is yes. But if that train could actually make its way into Mukono, I would literally use that train to go to Mukono. Because Mukono, I'm sorry to my Mukono people. I have family that comes from Mukono, but Mukono is a crowd. You do not want to be in Mukono on a Saturday, on a Tuesday, and on a day when there's a VD. Because when there's Visitation Sunday, it is the whole district, all schools at Mukono. A big bunch of schools in Wakisa and Mukono. So you do not want to be caught in Mukono on a weekend when there's Visitation Sunday.
What happens on a Tuesday? How come you mention
They have a market. Well, my wife comes from Mukono, so we visit family quite often. So, man, it's such a hassle. But back to the other thing. If that train could stretch just up to Mukono and they have a proper station, dingy as it is in Kampala, even if they could set up another thing there, I think to do a great deal. Now imagine if you could expand that to Nansana, to Entebbe, to you know these areas that live town, to Gaba Road, that road. I think we'd have a whole different system. So our traffic system is a combination of that, which is external to us as people. The people who are in charge of planning for us. They promised us crazy things. Remember the person who promised us cable cars or monorails. Remember, the big lady. She promised monorails. Again, I'm not.
But they're in Kigali, right?
Yes. Okay. I've not seen Kigali, but I've seen them around. I've seen them around. But back to the issue, we also have very poor road behavior. I think so. We're so impatient. And we've reached an extent as a people where, let me say it even in Uganda.
That's, to me, an institutional issue, right?
Yep, it comes from...
As regards execution.
Yeah, it comes from somewhere. Yeah, it comes and it's been trickling down.
People are so carefree.
Like everyone.
Can get away with anything as long as I'm in a position to get away with it.
And the problem is these days everyone knows someone who can cause real issues. I mean, we could be here and you tell me something funny and then guys just show up and ransack your house and tell you you've not been paying some tax for you get me?
You feel like you're in blacklist.
So in Uganda, it's a slippery ground. You don't know who you're messing with and how it's going to pan out. So yes, our traffic issue is external in terms of leadership and the planning they're doing. And then internally as a people, we create 2 lanes. I used to stay on your road here, Chiwatule. You know what happens. From around 5 something there, 6-ish, this road becomes a 4-lane road. And then you find traffic cops right here outside your house, trying to fight it off. But every day, January to December, 10 years, like, hey, how do we change our people? So infrastructure is one thing, but also we need to change our mindset. And to that extent, I have no idea what we're going to do to change people's mindset.
I feel like we're going.
Yeah.
It reflects into why we have a very long something for a very long time, and we're comfortable with that.
Can I say something, Mark? This is not based on my political beliefs, but I want to digress a little and speak about this. The biggest opposition figure we have now is a young man we all relate to. Many of us relate to. All I think we relate to.
We all relate to.
Chagula, Bobby Wine. I want to think that Bobby Wine is more than the individual. Bobby Wine is an idea. I am Bobby Wine, you're Bobby Wine, he's Bobby Wine. Because we all yearn to see something being done differently. Yeah. So to that extent, we are all like him.
Totally.
But then also to such a great extent, we are all Musevenis.
How do you mean?
Museveni is also an idea. He's now a mindset. We've just been talking about traffic and how we're all lawless, how we are all Sigambo Ako and what, Again, I'm not trying to throw shade at anyone, but it's just the reality of the society we are living in. So there is, we have a side of all of us that is, I want to think comfortable with what's going on. It's like we've accepted it, let it go on, let's see how far this goes. But then so we have the other side that wants to see what could it look like if we changed guard, if we switched. So we're always conflicting between ourselves. And I see that in our society all the time. When someone is doing something wrong, we don't want to call them out. And then sometimes when someone does something so tiny, we are quick to shout about it.
People don't want to be accountable to
themselves.
To themselves?
Yeah. We can't face the we can't face the demon in the face. Yeah, we can't face the demon in the face and be like, hey man, you've done this, it's wrong.
Do you think it's like a generational transition from like our generation to the Gen Zs? And it's more like we're going away from like a community-based policing to everyone to each their own.
To each their own. Good for us all.
Yeah.
It's sad. But as a 90s kid, I think you can relate. Growing up in the 90s, early 90s, I mean, you could be hit by a neighbor and they drag you home to your mom and say, Musanza Kolachino, and then your mom also adds you and then they say, thank you, Mama Gundi. You do that now. I mean, your neighbor is right there, like 50 feet from you, or, you know, you can't even hit that kid for scratching your car.
No.
Because the idea was trying to impart
a complaint about clothes. They felt like hanging clothes on their section, the wires.
It's intrusive.
Yeah, it's intrusive. Like the landlord sent me the messages like, hey, I saw this guy saying, you guys go into his private space. I'm like, what? You are this person? Like, I smoke a J with this guy. Like, in my mind, I'm like, don't be this person.
I think I was just looking for a reason to vent over some shit.
I thought about it for like 10 minutes. I'm like, really? You're like, okay. How is just hanging clothes on a wire? Going to your space? You can just come.
Let me tell you, Mark, we're not growing up. For me, that's the classic example is that you could be hit by a neighbor's parent. Because everyone was responsible for everyone's upbringing and Bialiyo Mucharo, Bialiyo Mutown,
Bialiyo was mostly out of the country, right?
Yeah.
I was in Japan, so I had a bike. Whenever I used to like go out and ride the bike, so because there was that community policing of, hey, you're supposed to stay home, read books, and blah blah blah. So I used to take my bike and ride. So this is when I rode until Mengo.
From where?
From Timber. We stayed just down in Chikelo. So that's where my parents home is. So I rode the bike from home to Mengo and back. And my dad was in Japan and he called. Someone told him, Tabani wo. He called that night.
Today you're riding from where? How far did you go today? But we've lost that. I feel like we've lost that. I want to share something also in that regard. We recently moved into a new home, me and my family. And I have a little one who has just made 4. And she's been asking for a bike. And you know, even you can tell, okay, it's almost time for a bike. The height is right, you know. So the apartment block we moved to has, you know, families, and one of the kids has a bike. So my little one was so happy that, oh my God, a bike. And you know, being kids, come check out my bike, quickly. So me, I was actually relieved. I'm like, oh, okay, there's a bike here. That was my perspective. There's a bike here. I can now maybe buy her bike next year on her birthday. So, because they have a bike. And casually, as we're talking about that, my partner said, and I was listening. I'm like, why? And now, you see, when the neighbors' children have this, it pushes you to also want to get it for yours. She's right. But in my head,
but in a way she's not, right?
But in a way I'm like, but do we have to buy a bike? Can the kids just use that bike? But then also, you know, I didn't want to bring it up because man, that could be could spark off a whole, you know. But then, in one direction, I'm all for the communal, you know. We have a bike. Used to ride in tons, you ride, they come back, like that, months on months. But then also to avoid the consequences of, you know, sharing, kids, like, man, let everyone have their own bike. So that's where we've transitioned. I still have my 90s mindset. And she was trying to tell me, bro, everyone they need their own bikes too.
I was trying to study the Bellwether community, right? So I've spent a lot of time staying at Bellwether, right? Now, it's like the children, and all these kids are like going to Kampala parents or to like some fancy Econs International. Like what? They're paying $2,000 for sleeping, so the parents can definitely
let go of some.
They can afford. But in a sense, because the community has now a swimming pool, right?
Yes.
It's the community itself. The children grow up police as a community.
Okay.
Right?
It's collective responsibility.
The apartment one mom is the one going to be at the pool today, so all your kids are going to swim and she'll be in charge. So she's going to be your mom at that time.
That's good.
Yeah. Your maid from apartment B is going to be the one up to oversee the kids playing with the toys. So it feels like it's one whole home. We just go and sleep in different blocks,
units,
but during the day we're all the same, they're studying. So in that sense, I was like, okay, this is some sort of like value for money.
Yes.
In terms of like our children going together. Also, the exposure is interesting, right? This kid is doing this, so they're going to tell you, and it's all cool, and they're doing it all together. Yeah. But you can't get that from. That is only possible because first of all, the community is big. About 4 block apartments. So it's really, you have to be so outstanding for you to be a different person whose child does not want to share. Also, there is not so many places where your children are going to run to. They only have to play.
So eventually, everyone just falls in line.
You have to fall in line. So the problem with that, though, right now is we have so many of these individual homes, and everyone has their gate. Everyone
fences,
wants to mind their business. You know, for us when we were growing up, fences were
strange, but there were no gates.
Yeah, we had the Vokomera. You could just pass into the guys. Do you want first take that?
Yes, this gentleman is to pick my kid from school. That social fabric of community, family, blah blah blah. In the 90s, we had, even if there were fences, for surprisingly there were no gates. I grew up in part of my childhood. I grew up in Bonga, and then in Tebe, and of course the village. There were no gates, and it's different now. I feel sorry for our children in a way, but well, they're ours. They're ours. Pardon?
How best? How best is it? What's that thing of when you look back into all the 20 years you've lived? What's that thing that is a solution to the parent? It could just be an idea. It could be just a way of doing things. Like, what's that thing you want to front? Because you see, with our parents, right, they fronted the basic needs so much. So on to the basic needs, which should be still a thing, right? Shelter, food,
education.
Once they sort that, to them that's the primary goal. Nothing else matters, right? Then education started to prove to be very shaky, right? It's not the only goal. You need a big chunk of social capital to make sense of your education. You you need skills which you can really get, which is still education. The network bit of it all makes a lot of sense, right? You need to know someone who knows someone who knows someone. And now they didn't do so much in that direction.
We tried to do that through school. But we didn't know that we're doing it.
Yeah.
But later on you're like, oh, that's why I wasn't. And I don't think maybe they knew it when they're putting you in these schools.
Okay, yeah, they knew it. I remember maybe. For a lot of parents it was a thing, right? Yeah. You have to go to the school because I went to it, you have to make the marks.
Especially our friends from King's College and Gondi College. We call them our college.
Then when you and I am one of them.
You're college? You're from Mungo. Hey! I was supposed to join Minang for A-level. I just I don't know, I just missed the, I got in, but I ended up in Namgongo.
Do you think schools should define people? By the way, to me, right? It's okay.
They shouldn't, but they
so
do.
Much money from my OB service. Yeah, I cannot deny that.
I want to say this before I forget. My most, if I say useful, but my most impactful group of social friends, like my circle, where I am in life now, and I live the last 5 years or so, is Namidango people. I knew one guy at my first job. I met one guy, and we're the only kids in the company. So we used to hang out together. And then I met so and so and so and so. So when I go for, what they call it? For the league.
You go for the league.
When I go for the league, yes, when I go for the league, I bonga with everyone. You holler at everyone and you're like.
So but for us, really, we are very hospitable people. Yeah. That's something I get back to the core. solidarity and the inclusion. Yeah.
Yeah.
For us, it has always been like that. Once Angonia and always Angonia, and once you meet a friend, like, the culture, I give it to it.
Yeah, yeah.
That's a thing. You'll never feel out of place, and I don't want to zero this down to like school talk, but the Smarkists and the King's College people are good people, right? Cultures and whatnot, but they have this thing around. They think they're too cool for life. Yet they are not. So that's a thing.
The statement was Tolu was.
It has never left.
Yeah.
So, but college is different. That's something I did to college.
I know a couple of people. The question was, should schools define us? No, they shouldn't. Unfortunately, they shape us. And when they shape you, they give you a certain identity and also, unfortunately, I think they define you in the long run.
They do.
They do.
You spend a lot of time in
Because
school.
now
right?
that we are grown-ups, the conversations I have with my colleagues from Namgongo, then we say, but you guys, how come those guys You know, the thing is, when you're when we're in high school, in your year, you know everyone who was in that year across the country. So you know Taiba guys, Budonians, Namgongo, Seta, what, Chitende, but because we're all class of 2000 and something. The truth is they shouldn't, but they do. Because they define certain characteristics around you, and then even as we've grown up, job things, family things, they stick around. I know a couple of people from the hill that don't like the identity.
Yeah, that's
coming from that hill.
Yeah,
but they also admit the fact that when you say, hey, I'm from here, it opens doors. But they don't like
being
like they don't it's like they don't admit that they're from there, but they also understand that the social capital is quite important.
It's important.
Yeah.
It's how you survive. So I want us to slightly go into financial literacy.
Yes.
Sort of have like an expertise, right?
I'm trying to polish.
Yeah.
I'm trying to polish myself. The more I do, the more I learn.
Yeah. And why you're about this.
I think we should start from why.
Yeah.
We got into right before the lockdown. We I mean as a society.
Okay.
Yeah. Because my interest in financial literacy was something I genuinely, when you work towards something, but you work towards, in life you have so many dots, let me say in your work. But then there is that dot that you can't really place. And all your work keeps pointing back to a certain blank something. For me, financial literacy was that blank slate that we didn't know we had to do. I didn't even know what the thing was. But right before 2020, in 2019, I was doing some work, through one of our products. And I was working a lot with kids, mostly high school. And we're trying to talk to them about money things, how they can do better. So I attended a thing at the Innovation Village. I think that time, I don't know who was being hosted. But as you know, sometimes when you're in a conference, you keep taking notes. So he talked about financial literacy, financial inclusion. They're just words I was hearing. I didn't even know that the work we were doing was something called financial inclusion. Fatwali Muhaso, you have an idea, it can, So I go back home and I'm reflecting on these notes and I see this word. So, out of curiosity, I, Google the word and I'm like, wait a minute, this is interesting. Financial literacy is, a set of skills on how you can manage, plan, and da-da-da-da-da. So it led me down a rabbit hole. Then I started watching YouTube things. This was all in one night. I just watched, not a lot, but a couple of things, and I read up on something. So the next day, I was like, wait a minute, maybe I can go to one of these partner schools you're working with and tell them about this thing, that maybe we can do it for kids, When I reflected on my own life, no one had told me these things. And then I realized the closest we came to financial literacy was commerce and economics. But you see, we're doing those things to pass an exam.
Yeah. Strictly that.
It was strictly.
Yeah.
It was just notes, read your notes, and then, cram and go and pour it out there. So, but I found this material so interesting. I remember trying to tell my partner, I'm like, wait, see these things. And even her, no offense, she was like, yeah, those things are, yeah. So the next day I walk into an office and I told the head teacher, now we've come up with a new program. We would like to come and talk to the kids about planning and what, and how they can avoid this and that, and you know. And that conversation is supposed to be like a 15-minute talk, but I think we talked for like 2 hours. And the guy is like,
and what exactly were you telling him?
I was telling him that our company wanted to introduce a new value service. You know, wanted to give back to our users by talking to them about personal finance. How do you grow your money? How do you, okay, for a kid in high school, it's mostly how do I avoid debt, or how can I live with it? How can I do better? Okay. There are habits that we all had in high school, and sadly you see them now, even as adults.
Like they visit you today, your money is done by Tuesday.
Thank you. Right? Yeah. Salary week, you know what happens in Kampala? Salary week. Okay. I mean, even the guys who advertise trips know that that's when they. And then by around 11th, the staff circle is busy, money lenders are thriving. Why? This is a habit we've all had from. The week of VD, those guys at the school kitchen would cook food and literally wait for people and no one would show up. So even us here, salary week, now as adults, salary week, you get. So
I see those patterns.
You see the pattern now. But you see, it's so normal that we've not even given it thought.
We normalized it.
We've normalized it. And sadly,
there's no rainy day.
Yeah, you know, sadly, even when you, now because of my work, you see it even in adults. Even see it in the adults. It's very unfortunate. So that's the kind of conversation I was trying to have with the head teacher of the school. I'm like, hey, we would like to come and have these sessions. And the guy said, are you sure? So we talked. He also asked me, why? How are you going to do it? And by the end of our conversation, the guy said, I think you should start with my staff members. So I told him, no, let's start with the kids and all. The truth is I was scared of facing adults. Because who am I to go and tell another adult, about you save? Excuse me. Do you have savings? Can we see your savings account? But the goal was to give value.
Which is very important.
To the learners, yeah. So he let us in and we had a chat. I remember the first session was so hard, man. I had slides and what on the computer. And then these kids were brought in, A-level kids. These kids sat in the, you know how kids sit in school? Doing their beard. They have 2 beards like this.
Not your gamba.
Katuno naze nechi projector. But I thank God because I noticed something immediately. About 15 minutes into my presentation, I noticed I didn't have the room. Guys,
it's really money talk.
It was literally money talk. I was too formal. So, being the guy I am, the salesman I am, I'm like, nope. So I turned off the machine, pulled a stool, sit in front of everyone, and I'm like, okay, guys, you know what? Okay, you know what we're here to talk about. I've already introduced it, but let's have this chat. So, who is the hard guy? Yeah, Mark. Yeah, Mamala. Yeah, good. Yeah. Like, no, guys, I'm serious. Who are you hard guys? Cash-wise. They gave me a couple of names. Of course, you know high school. Guys don't have to come out. So I had a few sweets. I'm like, whoever's name is mentioned, I'll give you a sweet. It's funny, but sweets work on all of us. Even grown-ups in my trainings, I have sweets I give out for if someone participates. You give out a sweet, you may not eat it. Go to give it to someone. So about 2 boys stood up and I said, ladies too, who are these girls who you look at and you're like, man, that girl has things in order. The girls came. So what I did is that we did a panel of some sort with these 4 people. I was just asking them, what makes these people think that you're okay? And then the answer started coming out. Someone was like, I use 1,000 shillings a day. And because of that, throughout the time I never beg. So to everyone else, I'm staying in my lane. It's called a budget. That's a budget. Then another girl said, when the time is starting, my mother and I sit at the dining table and we plan how many days I'm going to be in school, and we put maybe 2K per day, and then that's the kind of pocket money I'm given. That's planning.
It's already planned, right?
You get me? So here we are talking about the same things that come to discuss: budgeting, planning. Then another guy said, for me, at home, I rear rabbits. You know, like simple things. I rear rabbits plus chicken, and whenever those guys make a sale, like every week, they send me like 30K to my car, Basa's account. Now, these are things that their own friends didn't know. All they see is that these guys got shit going on. And that panel,
that's so true.
That panel was so good. that session was so good that when the teacher came to say, excuse me, sir, thank you, it's time for preps, guys are like, no, let him talk. So we started talking about things like, it was all money, but I was trying to show these kids, why do you think your parents think you're young? Because with all the money they give you, even when you go home, you start saying, Mommy, data, come on, just buy your own data, it's 1K. Your parents, you put yourself on your parents' berako, or to Gabane, sorry, to Gabane.
Yeah.
When salt is done, salt is 1,000 shillings, and you're home playing video games. When salt is done, you clear your headset, the maid tells you, and you're like, okay, put it back and you play. So mommy has to come from work to bring salt of 1K. But if you want to show that you're a big person, buy the salt. So when mommy says, Banange, nerabido gulomonyo, maki atugulido omonyo. That's when mom says, oh, sir, mwana tegere waka. So these kids had never thought of that.
But no, man, no. It's not my responsibility.
No, it's not. Mark, it's not your responsibility.
I don't want to be the one that...
But you see, if a blip like that comes up,
sure.
and you can fix it. How come you can pay for...
So you're a responsible person.
Yes, that's how parents smell responsibility. Then the next time you say, Mommy, I'm going to Acacia to watch movies, they say, you go. Because they know...
Because when you're responsible, you're accountable, right?
Thank you.
Yeah.
So those are the conversations. And man, that session blew my mind. I didn't use half the content I had brought. So that session, the kids were like, yeah, thank you so much. Kids come and start telling you, say, well, now you see. And here's the highlight of that day. This girl, I asked people if they had savings. And people were, high school, rambling. Then this girl puts up her hand and says, I save 500 shillings a day. I swear the whole class passed into laughter. She said, I have this deal at the canteen. I don't want to keep it in my suitcase because guys will break it. But I have a team, I don't know if it's at the canteen or with the teacher, where every day I take a coin
500
into that box. And guys laughed at her. So it was so funny. The laughter, the room was so rowdy that even I laughed. But in the middle of it, I'm like, no, I can't let this girl get a shame like this. I can't embarrass her. So I picked a piece of chalk. I wrote on the board, 500 shillings times 90 days. I asked the room, how much money is this? That's 45K. Then I asked them, how many of us on Chiromo? The whole room shut down. Oh shit. She grew wings and petals and what in that moment. Because right there and then, by God's grace, I redeemed her. Sure. So we started discussing, if you went home with 45K, first of all, how many people can go home with 45K? 0.
And
here you are.
Such a big amount.
It's such a solid amount when you come out of school now. You get me?
Yeah, you can go to bars, can buy an outfit.
Thank you, because I got that figure and I told them, look guys now, typical holiday plot, what do? We want to go to Acacia. We want data. I want to have to talk. You already have a phone. So I told them, guys, you have 45K, we'll come here work for holidays. Put monthly bundle for talking. Even just 5K.
Yes.
Or 5K, 125 minutes.
And that's
okay, typically kids talk a lot, blah, blah, blah.
No,
okay, 5K. 125.
5K.
5K, that means you can talk. But guy, I have reached. That means I can also put them in a chillax bundle. Plus also now we are lucky. Homes have Wi-Fi, this and that. But there are so many deals on data. But that means I can also afford some
a
deal.
Yeah.
A deal, a data deal.
Yeah.
But most importantly, when people say, guys, on the 12th, Saturday, we're going to Acacia to watch Iron Man. As you guys are telling Mommy, please, ticket, my friends are saying,
going through a hustle, you have to first do all the chores.
Me, I go to my mom and say, Mommy, I have a ticket to watch Iron Man with my friends. Now, your mom is left in a position where she's like, when I refuse.
This one.
So now she'll try to do things like, the senior centers are transport. Then you're like, Mommy, I have like 5K. Just talk back for me. I was trying to show these kids that 45,000 can give you so much happiness was a holiday.
And also, it gives you leverage, right?
Exactly, because when I can do these things, if Mommy notices, I'm not asking for that. I'm not asking for to call. Movie ticket. Next thing they know, they keep extending things to you. When I broke that thing down, 45K, I redeemed that car.
Yeah, what up? Come.
At 45K, the answer of 45K, I redeemed that car. But when I also got the chance to break that 45K down for these kids, they're all like, oh shit. I could tell. So when the teacher came to tell guys it's time, preps, you guys need to go have dinner, guys like, let him talk. But that session was by far the best session I've ever given. I was new into it. They were new to me. I didn't know how to handle children and things like that. But that session opened up doors.
Yeah.
Now we did the whole school. If then
The teachers.
the teachers not yet, because we realized how you talk to a Form 1 is not how you talk to a Form 6. These are two different, even just O level and A level. Even Form 3 and Form 1, because this guy is 16, this one is 13. These ones you have to continuously tell them, sit down. Guys, listen. The other ones you have to literally get their attention. Because man, the guy is higher at his cheek, he's,
Sorry.
Oops. Shit.
It's okay.
Forgive me, please. So that session just sparked off things. And now I had the confidence. I'll just go to the next school and tell them, oh, by the way, we even changed our introduction. I stopped telling people that, oh, we're here to do the other thing. Like, no, I'm Emmanuel, I come from this organization, we're here to like to talk to the kids about personal finance. So many doors open. We had approached so many schools for our work earlier, but with this...
So there is need, if there's so much need for personal finance in schools, why don't the schools teach it?
It's not just in schools, Mark. There is
Okay, let's say for the schools.
Yeah.
Why don't the schools teach it?
It's not on the curriculum. First of all.
Why
isn't it on the curriculum?
Bigger contribution to it? Why don't you propose maybe to policymakers? But maybe we'll get there.
We'll get there. I'm picking inspiration from people in the space where we are. People like the team at Boundless Minds. They're doing amazing stuff.
Oh yeah, who's that guy? Bibi.
Benjamin.
Benjamin.
Yeah. I like.
I'm a big fan of the wife.
Vanonji.
Yeah.
I don't know how much.
She's a techie.
But I like what those guys are doing.
Just a good friend.
And the fact that their thing, just know there are things which I thought were impossible. And every time if there's any one person who reminds me that it's possible, it's the team at Boundless. Of course it's hard work, but they keep reminding me that, Chisogoka, you're not crazy, you're not mad, Chisogoka. So the long-term goal is to see this put into the curriculum, and it's going to be hard. But even if it's not in the curriculum, I would like to put ourselves in a position where we can be implementers for maybe the ministry or some funders who want to, and to whoever is watching out there would like to be implementing partners. So it is possible, it is necessary, but the way capitalism is set up, such a way that people can't have all the, you can't, because when someone is financially literate, you've given them so many cards. So the system is set up in a way that we can't get an education just enough to go into the chain of, it's like a production chain. So when you have certain things about you, and one of them being financial literacy, man, the system can't tell you shit. Because you know how to manage. No, I was about to throw stones at a glass house. But I wish and we continuously push for this to become as normal as it can be. So now currently working with schools, we've been able to get into Rotary, we've been able to get into organizations, we've been able to get into circles, we've done virtual sessions, we've done in-person sessions, we even have some crazy ideas we'd like to put out.
Yeah.
Something like this, where we have these money talks.
You want to be, like I had already told you.
Yeah.
I'm coming on board on that.
I'd love to. So it's quite important. Financial literacy gives you the tools on how to manage your money. But most importantly, it gives you the courage. It gives you the courage to make the decisions. Sometimes we know that I should have a budget. I should have this. But we don't have the courage to do it. And it all comes from the fact that you're not as informed on a subject as you might have wanted to be. So you end up you end up making a wrong decision because you're not as informed. Look at us, our young people. Out of college, you have your first salary. What do? You buy markets. You move to Chiwatule. Every Friday you go with the boys. But all these are financial decisions you're making. But because you're not told that even a Vitz is a car, or if we just see them for the value of it, how can I be in a Paso? How can I drive a Vitz when I'm a so-and-so? All that is just down to financial, your financial knowledge.
Wait.
I'm not saying people shouldn't buy the cars they want.
You are saying that people are not living in their means because they are financially illiterate.
Yes. And I'm saying this because I've been there. I'm not trying to say I'm holy or anything. I have my struggles too. But it's because we are not informed. Dude, do you ever wake
Everyone
up?
knows that Vitz is cheaper than the Harrier, right?
Yes, yes.
But if we're looking at so many things.
Yeah.
We're looking at comfort. What would be the alternative? What would I use my money for?
Well, first of all, I'm going to
Because then investing is a whole other thing. You need to understand what you're investing in. Because what these matters with such capitalism thrives a lot here, and we are big on entrepreneurship. Guys are starting a lot of jobs, but none of these really make the 50 back.
Yes.
So the failure rate is extremely big. And we have to talk about failure.
Yes.
Remember that. So the failure rate is still so big that it's really, you have to be extremely wealthy to afford some risks.
Yes.
Some things. So then, what's the alternative? Like, what should people do with their money for it to make sense?
Okay. One of the goals of financial literacy, or me being in a position I am in, is not to tell you what to do. My job is to show you options. Because the truth is this, you could come from a farming family, a family of agriculture. You know, I mean big agriculture, coffee, plantations and stuff like that. That's an alternative. You could come from, you know, so many backgrounds, all come from diverse backgrounds. But the thing is, my job as a financial literacy coach or advisor is to show you the options. That, hey, here you are, you're making 100 million shillings. These are your options. The mistake would be if I'm trying to tell you, don't, you know, put it into real estate. Put it into this. It's the hottest thing right now. That is me thinking for you. I'm supposed to just show you my options. Now let's go back to the example I gave. I'm not stopping you from, you know, buying the car you wish. I mean, you've worked hard and all.
Yeah.
But it is important for you to ask yourself certain things. Given where I am now, okay, and what I'm making now, and where I want to be, is this the right thing to own? Is it okay for me to be paying 900,000 in rent when I'm making 1.4? You know, that's what's happening in our society. Okay. The truth is this, Mark. If we could have a chance to look into everyone's payslip, you'd be shocked. You'd actually have this conversation with your boys and be like, guys, this is not okay. Many of us are making about 1.5 million a month, and our rent is 800. You haven't yet paid your car payment. You haven't yet bought a shoe. You haven't yet had a haircut. You haven't yet bought data. You haven't yet given your girlfriend money, you know, plus other things. But you've already taken off 800,000.
For modest living, right?
Yeah, that's what they call it.
What's the alternative there? Is it for me to live somewhere in Gondo where I'm at risk that I'll actually be very scared to buy a smart TV?
Because someone could take it, yeah.
Yeah, because someone could take it, right? Give or take, there's so many insecurities in the country. So, rather though than trying to, because the real estate bubble, when it comes to the rent thing, it's tricky. The bubble is weird. The houses are 5,000, 500,000, also still shit, right?
They're shitty homes, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah,
but then that's the least you can stay into.
Yes.
Would it be to save? Would your advice be for people to like minimize their expenditure, or to make sure they earn much more money, to increase how much they earn?
If it comes down to that, I subscribe to the latter. Okay.
Earn much more money.
Yeah. Yes.
But how?
Diversify your incomes. But I want to go back a little bit, Mark. I'm not stopping you from driving a fancy car at 24. If you can afford it.
Okay. What does
the word? Yes. Thank you. Yes. Yeah. The key word here is afford.
Yeah.
Can I pay for it? First of all, as a young man, I think you listen to a bit of rap music. Jay-Z said in one of his tracks, I don't know what album, that if you can't buy it twice, you can't afford it.
Yeah.
If you can't buy it twice.
It's in the blueprint. Yeah.
But you get the statement. The thing is this, guys. You know, we have the illusion of time. We think I'm going to be young.
Okay, but again,
let me build the point, man. Let me build the point. Okay?
Right.
I'm not stopping anyone from driving the car they want to. But ask yourself, where do I want to be? Does owning this item now help me reach that dream? The problem with many of us, the challenge for many of us, is that we don't think that far ahead. You're like, come on, I'm 24. By 30, 30, sure.
Do you remember when you talked about Museveni?
Yes.
Now, I'll give you another concept. So, what the president has consistently done in this country is to sell the future. I remember when I was at when I was at your workplace.
Yes.
I was negotiating with the lady, and she told me, Carol, make sure you do this at this budget. I'm going to do so many more businesses. Like, whenever you sell the future and forget the present, it's a big issue. And that mentality is sticking with us. Like, the hope of, to me, better. You see how we grow up and they tell us, hey, build a house, buy a car, build a house. Like, a house is some sort of measure of success. But when you look at the grand scheme of it all, it's such a bad thing, right? If I can afford my rent.
Please continue paying your rent.
There's no, because the house is going to be expensive, it's very costly. It's taking
setting
so
it up,
so much more money that if you use the amount of money, say a modest house could cost you 130 million, the land and blah, blah, blah. But if I use that money to like expand my circles and have a consistent cash flow where I could afford my flights, I could afford, once you have cash flow, right, you have access to so much. It gives you a lot of access. If I could just buy into cash to our networks, I'd be better off having the hope of, you know what, let me first be in a Vitz, I'll drive a Lamborghini in the future, let me pile up some money, and there's no clear sense of how this money is going to come.
Exactly. Can I respond to what you're saying right now? Let me sit down first. Mark, you choosing to invest in your social circles, and this and that is one of the components of financial literacy, and it's called planning. Unfortunately, the whole thing I'm trying to say, I think I skipped the part where I should have broken it down a little bit more. Planning is one of the pillars of financial literacy. And sadly, for many of us, we don't plan. Let me ask you, Mark, when you left high school, when you left college, when you got done with campus, what informed your decision of what neighborhood you lived in?
My peer pressure.
Thank you.
For me, it was so bad. It was extreme.
Thank you. And I thank God that we didn't have to first go in circles about it. Many of us.
In fact, even the hostel. I went to Olympia, I left Douglas, Olympia was too cool.
Exactly.
That was so short.
Exactly. You get me, bro? We don't plan. Now, we don't plan because we don't see the need for it. That's why I was telling you that time is an illusion sometimes. But also, the universe has a way of playing jokes on you. Then you live too long, and you're like, you guys say time was an illusion. Now I'm 78. But the thing is, the whole point I was trying to make is we think we are going to be young and strong and this, and the job is going to be there. You know, like it's some infinite thing. So, we don't plan well enough. If you plan well enough, and you realize that, wait a minute, guys, I'm earning 2 million shillings, but if I can just invest in a certain lifestyle, to put me here, this is going to land me here. That's your plan. And it makes sense. I mean, I have colleagues who have lived that life and they've grown through it. The guy said, the Silver Primo, the Silver Colachino, he bought a broken Mercedes. You know, like he's on his 4th Mercedes now, but he started with some car broken, but the guy's like, in the German is German. Eh? You get me? That is the plan. He has a plan. But I've given an example, classic example. What informs men of our choice of neighborhoods is simply peer pressure. You didn't plan. Now, because I leave university and I get a job, and of course you have to leave home, and ask Katogenda Bedawa, why do you think a big percentage of us stay where? Nigeria. This street.
This Chanja coming to the mix.
I was telling a couple of friends of mine, some older gentlemen who are very great friends of mine, that Nigeria is a mindset that our generation has. I could be staying in Entebbe when I have a Nigeria mindset. But the reason why it is a mindset is because as soon as I leave home, where do I go? Where does Kiron stay? Where does so-and-so stay? Chiwatule. So, irrespective of my salary, I must live in Nigeria. Already, you are not planning. Irrespective of my earnings, I must drive Kawundo. You are not planning. Irrespective of my I must go to this bus. You are not planning. Irrespective of so many things, I must. So the whole point is many of us are living off of peer pressure. And it's not about just the young kids. Bro, even me, I don't know if you have family now.
Yeah.
We have family. I have family. I have kids. And some of us are like, irrespective of what's going on, my child must go to X junior school. You're not planning. So the whole point is, if you plan well enough, then whatever you choose is good enough. But because many of us are not planning, I mean, Mark, how many times do boys just drop a thing? Wait, guys, ginger this weekend. Boom, we go. Then on Monday, then on Monday, it can just drop like this. My guys, fought. You get me? It's not wrong to go and have fun, but plan your shit, man. Okay? So, because of bad planning.
Where is the fun in that? Okay, that's okay.
Because of not planning, your life could look glossy for a while. But then you reach maybe 20-something, the job is gone, then you realize, oh shit, you see what happens. The car goes, move to a smaller house now. You get me? All those fancy clothes you had, you could keep them, at least to look good. But many times you look into, you know, you have to move into a smaller house, all deep into Bulindo. Shout out to my people in Bulindo. I'm not saying it's a bad place. I really love Bulindo. It's great. I was staying in Bulindo until I moved. You know, but the point is, guys, you need to plan, because we're not going to be 20-something all through. So you need to plan your earnings. Many of us never envision ourselves having family. In fact, many of our firstborns are, the chick said, many of our firstborns, at least I can tell my friends, where the chick says, no, I'm not removing it. So we don't plan so many things. I'm not saying that when you plan, everything goes to, you know, to the dot, but it gives you a sense of direction into your journey. But many of us, what house are you going to stay in? Where the boys are staying. What car are you going to drive? Whatever the boys are driving. I was lucky enough that, some of us are lucky that the organizations you work for, and they give you a car loan.
Car loan thing, isn't it a bank thing?
Those are all ways of keeping you in. If you're good talent, that's how you lock in good talent. I give you a car loan, an education loan, I will keep you here until that car is done. And they take so little from you that you have so long to pay for it. My guy, if you're delivering numbers,
but isn't it a credit thing? Isn't it very, very necessary that we live on the credit system?
It's not wrong. It's not wrong at all.
To afford things. Because, you know, like, debt management, right, is the most interesting thing.
Another pillar. That's another pillar, yes.
It's important for us to realize that living in debt is not a bad thing.
Not at all.
Not at all. That actually, to skip survival and start living, you have to be in debt. Because you do not have so much time in this life to buy things with your own cash.
With your own cash,
because you have to make that cash yourself. But you're going to want to start living on islands. You're going to start. My mentality, right? I started driving. My friends, I've always had wealthy friends. So when I was 22, I was driving a Range Rover for a friend for the whole time, right? So much as it's not mine, and I have to work hard to buy my own Range Rover, it always puts the mentality in me of
to work hard to get up here.
Yeah, I
would like to be up here too. Yeah, I would like to be up here too.
Dream bigger.
Yeah, that's good. That's true.
Right? But then I would see that for a fact, the only way this guy is possible to do this is he can have access to 350 million. That's not his. And put it in a Range Rover and Range Rover contributes to his comfort. But now, you as a financial coach, you tell me to save up until I buy a Range Rover. That could be what, when I'm 60?
Okay, Mark, I'll go back to exactly something you told me. You helped bring out so well. It's called planning. If, as per your plan, it makes sense to do things a certain way, for you to get from point A to E and F and G and then, the whole alphabet, please go with that. The problem is that many of us do not have those plans. So even your guy who had a range that's $100,000, it was part of his plan.
Yeah.
Then I'm actually going to buy it.
Because it is actually an actual plan.
You
the
get
company
me?
Works for, you know that in 3 years you have a range. There is some sort of system.
Thank you. So it was an actual plan on his side. Many of us they do plan. In Uganda they say, "Kaundoka ko bie Dinisa." You just boom. That's why when guys say, "Guys, sounds obsessive," we go. IG, is it in your plans this weekend to go and blow that car 500? That's why Nyege, fun and crazy as it gets, is announced in March when it is in September. Those guys are even good to us.
I feel like they're flanked this time. Because they have not enough states. It's a stretch. There's that battle with the Kenyan ones, but away from that thing.
Yes.
In this world that there's technology, how do the two intersect?
Finance.
Yeah.
And?
How do we use technology to improve our financial literacy? There are these things, right? I have an app that shows me how much I spend on fuel. Categorically, every day I go back to my bed. So one of the things I spend on a daily so much is marijuana, right? So I put into this app and be like, look, I have smoked this much. Even if I buy a stick, okay. Depending on what I want to smoke, so because I understand exactly what I want,
Yeah.
I look out to the guys. So different variants and strains are sold at
different
prices.
costs, yeah.
So depending on the mood I want to get into, I have that. But I still go and register it to my phone, and it shows at the end of the month it will show me that.
My G. There's a whole 14% of your money.
So I think about that money
Yeah.
a lot. Like it's the only money I think about. I'm like, what else would I have done this money? And my mind always tells me nothing. Really, it's important to smoke.
when Mark and Kieran sit in that meeting,
Yes.
Kieran says,
No. Like okay, sometimes I convince myself maybe if I had said, then I think about same money I've sent random guys, right?
Yeah.
And I think about how that helps me.
Yeah.
Like if I didn't smoke this marijuana, would I really get through the next day? Would I have been the person I am?
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm also saving through other things. Like there's all these apps that are helping you manage money, or they're just giving you anxiety. So is it helpful to keep track of how you're spending?
It is extremely important to know where your money is going. Many of us know where our money comes from. But then there are statements that we make and it reflects the fact that we're not planning. You know those things we say? Even people say, you get me? You know, guys,
My friend,
life gives us all these flags, but we skip the shit. We think it's just, it is important for you to know where your money is going, because when you know where your money is going, then it informs your priorities, because you spend on your priorities, knowing and unknowing. Can I tell you that? So, weed or THC or whatever gives us you feel a certain way.
Mm-hmm.
And it gives you a certain...
I bring it up because people who drink alcohol bring up the alcohol.
Yeah. Okay, in fact, let's say everyone has a release.
True.
Alcohol,
Yeah.
weed,
Women,
women, shopping. Our girlfriends like to shop, like hair. Someone's changing hair every week. It gives them a certain...
I see the stage you're at.
Okay.
When you say someone's changing hair every week, that's...
No. No, my partner is good. Actually, I feel like I beg her to. Yeah, but not. And I don't know. She's just grounded. She's a nice girl like that. So your priorities are informed by where your money goes.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't track that, you don't know how much money you could be losing in one direction. Now, the reason why people spend on alcohol is because there's a desire they have, but to escape from something. Again, I'm not a therapist in terms of substances and blah blah blah. I have my struggles too, but you need to check yourself, Mark. You have the discipline to remember before you go to bed to record fuel 50k, lunch at Java's.
I want to avoid that thing you said. I had money. I don't know because now you see I run a business. I also have my own personal things.
Yes.
So sometimes there's money that comes into the mix. I need money. There's money that comes to me that runs this business. There's money that comes to me that belongs to me. So most of the times it could go into our spend. Yeah, it could get there, and I have made my crash.
And remember, the company accounts are in your control too.
Exactly.
And money comes to your mobile money too.
Okay, no, there's company stuff, right?
Yeah.
There's lines for that, but again, I'm a bit of a face of the company, so some people rather deal with faces, right? So they'll give it to you. So to me, it's just a discipline.
That's the one.
Yeah. Also, my bigger sister is like the accounts person for me, so she has to be on my case all the time. Money. We don't have money. Then we are spending a lot. So I do it because then I have pressure from my bigger sister, who's also my accounts person. But also, I need to know my money. I don't want to be that person oh, you spent a lot. Oh, you did. Because I keep track of all my money. I tell my friends when I'm going out that this is what I have to spend. And we have a budget of 200. It's done.
This is it, guys.
This is it. So
I can't come to you with you to this because, man, see me did
I
that.
can't. Oh, I'm going, but I don't have money. Oh,
Are you going to accommodate me?
Exactly. So it's just a whole thing because the anxiety that comes with, I had 1 million yesterday. It's crazy for me. I don't like that. I don't like not knowing things. I don't like not knowing how things have happened.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
I am already dealing with my THC. So
Yeah, already that, yes.
I don't want any shocks. So that's the importance of that. But it doesn't really help me that much. So I see that THC is pain. I'm like,
and you
see
still
how much
buy
I
more.
spend on sending say flowers to my crush. I'm like, is this worth it? Does this really give me happiness? Do I want to do this? How do I feel when I do this? Like you said on the priorities thing, but I don't see the actual value from that. Apart from just keeping me aware, right, and accountable. Okay, the accountability is the value I get from it. But in your perspective, how is tech helping us become financially literate?
One,
Because it's expensive. All the sites you pay for,
yeah.
The convenience also comes at a price.
Yeah. I want to draw back from the conversation we've just been having about the app you have on your phone. And much as it's doing all these great things for you, you still feel like, dude, what, did you use it yesterday? And the other day?
Yes.
And the other day?
So
that app is giving you what? Value.
Okay, now I use it every day
giving
because
you
now
value.
really I need money. So I look at my money, I'm like, okay.
Thank you.
Yes.
And Mark, you've just described something. You know, one of the beauties of this conversation I'm having with you is that it's like the first conversation I had with those kids I've described in school. They knew the things. They just did.
True.
So when we had the conversation, they started to bring out the words. Mark, you're planning. That's why you're telling me that. You tell your friends, guys, the cap is 200K. That's the best time. Because you have a plan. You actually do have a plan. Mark, one of the things I've liked from this conversation we're having is the fact that I've been able to maybe show you or reiterate it to you that many of us simply do not have a plan.
And you really insinuate
so again,
one of the most important
yes,
things.
Ogenda Nechija. That's why you wake up on Monday and you're like, oh shit. Let me tell you, as a parent, I pay tuition. And if the tuition is 1 million shillings, when the term is beginning, you try to pay the bigger chunk, like 700, and the balance is $100, 300,000. And it's easy for you to keep thinking, it's just a small amount, I'll pay it. But Nige, if you don't have a plan that on the next paycheck I'm getting, $100 is going towards my daughter's tuition, it will come, we shall go for wedding meetings, we shall do this, we shall go to Ginger, we shall go for tour, what? And then you're like, oh shit, I forgot to pay my child's balance. And then you start getting those phone calls. It comes to planning. Many of us lack it. So it might disguise itself in so many things. Mark, it is easy for you to stand here and start telling us that, actually it's not easy. It seems a little bit obvious to you that you're busy using an application to keep track of your money, but you're not seeing the value. If you didn't see that value, you'd have stopped.
I agree.
Okay?
I see the value. The value is accountability. And it's very important.
You get me? It's just the reality of it's the truth you're trying to escape, the fact that you're actually an accountable guy. You're just trying to come off as, even me, I'm chill. No, you're not. You're actually a hard guy. Okay? So, planning, discipline, it's all these things you've been telling me yourself. It's the simple things that we lack. It's the simple things. And now you see all the boutiques we like on social media. Also, just keep add to cart. So now, Jimmy is there, the food, everything, man, it's just all around us. So to drive back to your question of how is tech helping us, first of all, it helps us to automate so many things. It's helping us to automate money movement, first of all. That's the first thing. The money movement. You've spoken of tracking. And also...
Tracking is almost a substitute for planning, right?
Yeah. That is it's part of your planning. So at the end of the month, you can be like, oh, I said that's so many flowers, man. Did I even get value for my flowers? Okay? But the first thing technology is doing is that it's helping you to automate certain things. Secondly, I think should have been number one, is that it's availing us with so much information. The fact that the things I'm telling you I didn't go to school to learn, this is just a lot of research and the life we live. It's possible because of technology. You just go to YouTube. If you're willing to learn and do basic homework, it's right there. So technology is bringing us a lot of access to information. It's just that it's sad that many of us do not want to seek. I believe, again, I'm not saying it's wrong. I believe that many of us pay gym instructors simply because we want to feel you might be paying a gym instructor because you want to feel like, you have to feel a certain way. But actually, more than 3/4 of all those workouts are on YouTubers. Maybe they have an edge in telling you, giving you options, okay? For your body type, for like this, go like this, like this, like this. That's where it comes in. Even the things I'm telling you are available. But like I told you, my job as a financial literacy coach is not to tell you, do this. It's to give you options in the direction you want to pursue. So the first thing that technology is doing is that it's giving us access to information. Do you also lodge a complaint?
That's right. Yeah. Wait, what's that?
The mics are not picking it up. No, he said continue.
Okay. No.
Number 2 is the fact that we're automating things. There are things that are available in certain countries, in certain banking systems, sadly, that we don't have yet here. And my organization and I would like to, give it a shot and see.
What are these things?
The fact that if your check comes out, they split it to so many things. Get me? Your check could come into your account and automate rent, automate this, automate that.
That's possible, right? Stanbic does that.
Why aren't they making noise about it?
I don't know, but
automate,
Stanbic, you automate everything.
Hold on, I'm not talking about standing orders and stuff. I mean, your check comes and it is already split into student loans and because it's something you should be able to set up on your account. And when the moment your salary hits, you can only say 200k. But you're sure.
Okay.
Everyone is paid.
Where I work from, that happens,
yes.
by the way. So
I wonder why aren't banks making noise about it? Because that is something good towards discipline and financial blah blah blah. Getting better.
Where I work from, you give them the access to. So we are a private equity firm, right? The hospitality I'm talking about now. Then you're given access to food and the nightlife.
Okay.
Unless otherwise it's fitting into the job, you can go and eat 6 million, you can go and throw a party and make a celebrity life and what, and they just keep cutting. So by the time that month ends, they have taken away what you have to spend. Religious, and they love that. Like,
so your
they
bank
encourage people to come.
Your bank notification comes and you have 100k.
You have 100k, and you just
and you have to shout, but you ate them.
But you
used it.
Money, you're bowling. It's addictive. Don't you think tech makes our spending behaviors very addictive by making it easier for us to have access to our money? Look at the mobile money applications, the bank applications. They're easy to swipe kind of thing in the bars. Like it's easier for you to feed into your habits because the money is just there, right? In the night, when you run out of cash, you can get it from the bank to your phone, and you continue with your business. Right? You can just it's trigger friendly because that's also the behavior that people have. People here are impulsive people, right? They act on impulse, like you said. Your friends will tell you that they need to go to Ginger.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. So also, don't you think tech targets
the thing
us
is
because of that kind of behavior, and then it benefits from us, and then we keep poor?
The thing is this, Mark. I'm going to use some difficult examples, and I'm not trying to throw stones at anyone out there. We have these things that are new to us now because of tech. Glovo, Jumia Food, and all these apps, right?
Yeah.
Are you fat?
No.
I'm not saying people are fat because, but I'm just saying, do you buy food all the time? Because you have certain basic disciplines. You have Netflix in your sitting room, blah, blah, blah. Are you always watching TV? you have all these shopping platforms. I've not seen a Jumia bag in here since I walked in here. So it is just but an excuse that tech is availing all these spending things around me. Okay? Just like all these ads of all these food restaurants are running, but you choose only to use it once a week. Just like all the...
Because I'm broke, right?
There is that too. But there is you also, you, Mark, right now. I know you have the ability to, but you tell yourself, I don't need that. I'm trying to drive to the word you used earlier, discipline.
Yeah.
Many of us just lack the basic discipline to say no or to stick to our lens. So we just keep saying, it's because of.
How do you help me as a financial coach to achieve that?
First of all, you need to keep track of your spending, which you, Mark, are already doing. If you can do that consistently for about 3 months, just look back into your history. Where is most of my money going? Am I proud of that? If yes, let's continue. If no, let's make some changes. What are your needs? What are your wants? What are your plans? So how do we get to this if you're currently here? If you're making 10 million a month, 10 million for context is about $3,000. How do I multiply this money to give me a sense of security that, okay, how do we blow this up into something else? So when you have a plan, then you know that, okay, for me to get here, there is route A that does A, B, C, D, there is route B that does, there is route C that does this. So what route are we going to? I'm not trying to tell people to live like monks. I'm not trying to let you, to live poor or, just have the basic discipline, because you need discipline to achieve your goals. The people we see today, the big men in town that we see, we admire, your friend Hillary, such a good, I wish I met that guy once. The businessmen, Bita Ture, who the big Sudil and all those men, they have plans. You don't just wake up and buy $100,000 car. He's probably known about it. And even if it was just an impulsive buy, he knows why he's doing it. It's fitting into his plan. Many of us don't have a plan. And when you do not have a plan, it's hard for you to be disciplined.
When you mentioned these top guys, right? You skip. Life comes with inequality. Yeah? Which are unavoidable. So how does financial literacy help close that gap?
What financial literacy will do for you as an individual is that it informs you, one, of your options. Two, how do I, even within your options, which ones can I pursue to get where I want to be? I could be making about $1 million shillings right now, but I have all the expenditures that come with life. Rent, tuition, family and all that. How do I get better? When you become financially literate, you learn of things like, let me say, investment options. You learn of investment options. Clubs, circles, unit trusts, bonds and bills, treasury bills and all that. It comes from you seeking knowledge. Do you know that you could start with as low as 100,000? Let me say the unit trust. What would that translate into 18 months down the road? You could start with as little as 50,000 on certain, you could learn about how to survive in a circle. If I could put 50,000 every month, when it's time for me to borrow, I'll borrow, let me say, $1 million against my 300,000, but also the lending rates are conducive. So all these things you learn when you choose to self-educate. They can't just find you there by the Holy Spirit and it departs into your mind. You have to aggressively and actively seek the knowledge. And when you seek the knowledge, you get informed. And when you're informed, make informed decisions.
So how exactly are you putting this information out there? Like, what are you doing to make sure? Because you see, self-discipline is something, right? It takes a lot for people to achieve that themselves. So what are you doing to, as a coach now, to make sure that you get this kind of information? Are you just going to the schools and reading from the guys that are studying on their young age, so that you produce a whole literate generation thereafter? Is that like a
crazy as it sounds? And by the way, we don't have any funding or anything. I've approached a couple of local banks to use as implementing partners for a CSR project through financial literacy. But we haven't succeeded yet in that. But crazy as it sounds, my hope is that we can create a generation of financially literate people. Let me tell you this. I don't know how much money we receive as a country in funding and donations and what.
Yeah.
But how come we never change?
What do you mean?
How come we never improve?
I'm saying Museveni has not done anything.
Yeah, to Muleke. Mark, you could throw all the dollars you want at the refugees in Palorina, in a what? In a camp. But if they do not, for as long as they do not know how to handle that money, even tomorrow they'll line up. You know the saying, teach a man how to fish, or give him a fish. What we are surviving on is this version of life where we're constantly being given fish.
I don't agree.
In that, the day the fish doesn't show up,
Okay.
we tend to struggle. So I believe that we can do better. My vision was to create a generation of financial literate Ugandans.
Again, right? There's no money. It's not that people don't know how to use money. They don't have money. Because capitalism is at its peak, like we already said. That means that a lot of people here are willing to start something, right? My interactions with most entrepreneurs on this podcast, because I'm also an entrepreneur, I meet a lot of entrepreneurs and have conversations with them. Right? The biggest issue has always been capital. The biggest issue has always been capital to these guys, to all of us, not to these guys. I want to scale out. I want you to have conversations in a real world, not like conversations, like I want you to be doing content and give opportunities to all these guys that are
as many people, yeah.
Yeah, so that we have like a channel. The whole Ivotom thing is going to be an app, right? Like you see on Netflix. So an app where these big conversations, there's mind space, there's all this content here being shooting. We've invested heavily in shooting content. Partner with people on the shoot content. I want to do some content with you. So where all this content in this channel is that to get there I need money. Because these creators need to create the shebang of just producing a podcast. We're only consistent. So many people started podcasts in COVID, right? Yeah. They failed.
You remember, yeah. At least you're in the space. At least for you know these people very, very well. The channels just went mute.
They're full enough. I even personally reached out to someone. I actually used to like your channel. What are the issues? Can I give you a chance? Can you just come and do it? And they see. So people have a problem with co-owning stuff in this country, and I feel like that's a big chunk as to why they're broke, because they don't want to pull assets out.
It's control.
Yeah.
Want control.
People want control for nothing. And it's
over
useless,
nothing.
Right? Yeah, over nothing. You can just give me fair share. Like, I had somebody, you had somebody. For the greater good, we all win. People don't want to buy into such a mess. But there is no money. That's the point. How do we then get people that fund, investors, to trust us enough to put their money into us? Because we have proven that we can do something with money. People are very constructive. Literally everyone has a side business. Yeah? Everyone employed and everyone trying to survive off is either creative, starting off something. They just don't have money to scale because we don't have that money. People are meant to trust us enough. Not like for creators. If we have like YouTube coming here to like have a studio, it's money, maybe they will put so much money into the camera wide. If we have a Netflix coming here, it's a thing. They do it in Kenya.
Yeah. Nairobi has amazing spaces. Yeah.
So that.
Can I say something?
Yeah.
Me and you are young men surviving or thriving in this Kampala space. But I want to tell you this. Most of us in the entrepreneurial space, a few of us have been blessed to receive funding. But you see, the type of funding we receive is of this type. Compete for something and you get $10,000. Boom, receive it. Chances are, for you to reach the level you've received $10,000, you've burned through like 20K minimum. So when 10K comes, what is it going to do? Ideally, it's supposed to help you to move forward. But the pressures of life are real. I'm speaking this as an entrepreneur who has burned through some money. When you get your first 10K, chances are, first of all, Mark, you know this. You know how heavy entrepreneurship is.
Very.
It is lonely. It is a dark journey. It is just disheartening. What most people do when they receive money is that they try to celebrate that milestone. Move into a better home, which is not supposed to be a bad thing. Many times they try to cement their relationship, because entrepreneurship many times relationships die. As you're really out there boxing, relationships tend to die. So unfortunately, we try to, in Uganda, yoza. Is that the word? Where you congratulate yourself. The way yoza. And the cost of yoza can eat like 7K of that money. Meanwhile, in very subtle ways, by the time you start remembering to employ devs, developers and stuff, you're now on 3K. What am I trying to say? Many of us are struggling, yes. Many of us. But I don't know what byline you're going to use in this episode. But looks like the whole idea is about planning. We don't plan for money even before it comes. So when money comes, we do all the wrong things with it. Many of our friends buy a new car. Right. Yeah, because they feel good. You feel like it's time for me to also. Those guys have been buying shoes from the other guy. Sure. Let me also go and buy 3 pairs. So it is so lonely. And also the people who give us this money tend to give you the lump sum. I'm told that there are organizations, especially the ones from the Far East in China. If you have to win money, they give you a grant of 100,000. Okay. But instead of giving you 100K, they'll ask you for, what's your monthly bill? So every end of the month, you post your bills. And they send you your 30K. That's more, because you're more accountable. And I even believe on a local scene, NSSF is doing like that, through their High Innovator initiative. Yeah. They don't give you your whole, boom, go. End of the month. They can give you the 10K, but end of the month. So what were your monthly bills? Remember, they've taught you how to keep books and everything. $4,000. Okay, it's gone. Where's the bank balance? Can you see it? So we don't care if you give yourself such a fat salary or blah, 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 but can you be accountable for it? They're trying to show us how to plan. Many of us receive money, and because of the pain, we try to congratulate ourselves. So buy a new car, move into a better house. Many times start a different relationship. Even break up with your car babe who was with you when you're broke. You try to step up and things like that. So that's where most of our money that goes into entrepreneurship is going. And the only reason that thing is happening, it's not because this guy struggled. It's true he struggled and he's trying to congratulate himself. It's because he's not financially literate. Financial literacy is a set of skills that gives you the ability to plan, manage, and grow your money. And the courage to go through with it. Many of us lack that. You see, it is such a simple statement. It is just a set of skills. We lack those skills. Mark, I can't tell you how to run a media company. You've been at it for like what, 2-3 years now?
3 years.
But Mark, as long as you do not have, you or someone on your team is not financially literate, we're going to give you 100K to build the studio you've just told us. And man, we might come back here and, you can explain. Is there a studio all you can explain? And they say, guys, I can explain. So it comes down to the fact that many of us just don't have the plan. But okay, there is that. That is one side. There's also the other side where we say the truth is, guys, there's no money. I acknowledge that. I know my country, I know my home, and I appreciate the plight of our people. Sad as it is, I know people who you know who received crazy, I hope this doesn't mean hot.
But they received crazy exits, right?
Hold on.
Just apart from this.
Apart from, Native's thing. Man, I was blown. I was like, what? Actually, a few nights ago, I was at a farmer's, at a Guardian farmer's, and I told the lady, congratulations on your win. And she gave me this look of Katunova, but she didn't know. She didn't. That same night, I was in Wandege. I'd gone to see a friend in the hospital at late in the night. So I wanted to buy some things. Stopped by a Guardian in Wandege. And I told my friend, wait, these people's boss, man. Man. And the chick was oblivious to the whole thing. But anyway, the thing is.
And this is the second time he does it, right?
Pardon?
This is the second time that he does it. No,
it's a second?
Yeah, it's a one one. So I keep track about his business in my circles.
Okay.
His friends are my friends somehow.
Okay.
So they told me about
what I'm trying to drive to is many people at the bottom don't have money. Not because it's not there. It's because someone acted unscrupulously. It's very sad. It's very unfortunate. I mean, we've lived through a government that me and you could go so many weeks, so many years back and start naming scandals. Sure. Malaria, ARVs, Gavi. It's just some selfish individual somewhere felt like. I mean, the recent ones, iron sheets. The shit is even just embarrassing. As people are organizing, our friends in Tanzania, I saw their wagons for the SGR. It's called SGR, the railway?
Yeah,
have arrived. When you go to Nairobi, man, the train is not news anymore. Where's ours? Do you know the impact that thing was supposed to have, downstream to people's families and livelihoods and all? So it is one thing for us here to stand here and say there's no money. Yes, I was trying to tell you, there's an entity here that received a huge chunk of money from a certain renowned donor. Master something.
Mastercard.
Yeah. I don't know if it's a rumor or, but those people are not supposed, they were supposed to provide certain services for free for people in our space, entrepreneurs, mentorship things, space for working, and blah, blah, blah. And the money disappeared. Then Mastercard just went and partnered with more serious people, Innovation Village, NSSF, Stanbic Incubator, things like that. So there is money in the ecosystem. It's just that sometimes along the way, some people feel like people are less deserving of it. So it doesn't trickle down. So that is even donor money. Even within here, we have Ministry of ICT and all these grants that keep appearing. If you do certain basic homework, sometimes you'll learn that it goes to the same people. Well, maybe those people are well placed. Someone could argue, maybe they're well placed for. But what about the 190 who are not in our space? Just local people. Like, how come they don't have anything going their way?
What's the solution there? How do you go about it?
That's a tough one, man. It's diverse. I feel the leadership has a hand. I feel our values as a people have eroded.
But so how come we've not had as many successful exits as Nati? What do you think about that?
I think it's because many of us who are founders don't imagine. Living. So even when the options show up, and I think I had an episode of that in my own right. When the opportunity pops up, you're like, sure, no way, sure, me, this thing. First of all, you imagine it's going to go so far. Then you act selfishly and be like, I can't invite you into this.
So two things, right? People, something Hillary has been my mentor for a very long time. Something he told me was when he's countlessly given me money, but not for this. This is entirely, but he's giving me money for other businesses. So with Bellwether, we're negotiating terms, right? Terms of work. So first we started the payment, the website, some bits of the strategy we were giving him, and he could cash you. He taught me a very, very good pay trick. I don't want to say it on the podcast because I use it around me.
I would like to learn. Later on, I would like to learn.
He told me a very good pay trick then. So he used to come with money split in the pockets. And so he'll give you only the money he wants to. Yeah? But because he understands you're going to complain and you have a problem and something has happened in your family, your brother's getting married, so you need an extra, he'll pull out his wallet, show you it's empty. Show you all the money I had. You have taken.
The sentence on Nancy Kuwad.
Like it's you.
I'm lucky I have fuel to go home. You know those things. I'm just lucky that I even have fuel to go home.
I moved with him about in a week. I moved with him and I saw the pattern. The infrastructure, at the other businesses. Now, but he told me one thing, that one of the biggest problems we have is people easily want to be CEOs and owners of companies that are, their value is in like just millions, right? And they fail to notice that you could simply be, it's better to be a 30% shareholder for $1 billion company.
You're too generous with the 30. Say 3. Say 3%.
So that was the thing.
To $1 billion valuation than 30% of.
So in this case, we're talking about Bellwether, and you're doing for me the math. You are telling me. So what do you want? Do you want to keep taking this $2 million every month, or do you want to be able to do this for life? You want to choose. You have the luxury to have fully furnished accommodation. You get commission of your own clients, no restrictions, and it really perfectly worked that way. He opened my eyes so much on that whenever I am negotiating with people, that is all I trade. I'm taking a stake, and that's it. I'm willing to wait it out, right? And I look for
equity.
That's all I do. So I don't even know where the question was from.
No, we're talking about exiting and blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Many of us don't imagine ourselves outside of. A company is like a child. When you birth a company and you sweat through it,
get married.
and you feel like my child.
It's my child. Yeah, like how mothers feel. Mothers feel jealous of their children.
Parents generally. No one is ever going to be good enough for your daughter. But at some point you have to accept the fact that there's like a young blood who's going to walk into your compound and say, Sebo,
it's me.
To say, painful as it is. But also, so when you relate to companies, we never see ourselves outside of control of our own entities. We never. I don't know if you guys have shot an episode of Big Conversations where you're not there. Has it happened? Why?
But we encourage other people to host if they want.
Thank you. Actually, when I told my brother, he said, no, other people are hosting. That's a good move. Host, please. You could be there making sure sound and picture, okay? But you host.
That happens.
You do you, please, okay? We do not tend to see ourselves outside of our companies. And because of that, even when the opportunities come, you shut them down. You don't see that I could have a slice of bread for the rest of my life. I want the loaf. I want the loaf.
Eh? That's the one.
Yeah, I want. So
let me go and die.
And
another loaf will come.
Thank you. Another loaf will come. And I think it comes down to a bit of mentorship. Not a bit, a lot of mentorship. Among the challenges I would raise as entrepreneurs that we lack mentorship. We lack training on, financial literacy. That's why I think I'm so passionate about this thing, because I have failed, guys. The truth is I have failed. I failed flat. And when,
still failing.
And when God gave me the grace, when you go through the whole cycle, denial, blah, 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 when you go past those two and then you tell yourself, I am as Matanian. In 2012, in 2020, what is that you did? Now when you're at peace and you're willing to be truthful, you realize that, I was wrong here, I did know this. Many of us don't want to accept that. Simani, I need help. God could bless you with the idea of something. The job with God is that He may not tell you how exactly you're going to, benefit from it. I mean, we could draw from the Bible. Moses was blessed, born, and all these legends are told about him. He was the king's, right-hand man and blah, blah, blah. And then he was given this task of man, you're going to take this people back to the promised land. And they didn't even reach one. He walked through the desert, oversaw a battle where his hands had to be held up. But unfortunately, he still didn't get in there. So many of us are like Moses. Not in a bad way. You must see this thing through. So even when help comes through, or some form of partnership, or the talk of a partnership, or how do we progress this idea, Mark, I strongly believe that sometimes you can only go so far with a certain idea. As far as your vision goes. At some point, there's a guy who brings a new twist to your own idea, and you're like, oh shit, I never thought of that. But how many of us admit? No one, there's no one who is smart enough around you. So that's why we're not seeing enough exits. Maybe also we don't have enough companies at that level of play.
Yeah.
Maybe we also
don't have
enough.
Why don't we have so many companies at that level of play? Why don't we have? But that comes to the funding that is put in, right? We don't have Silicon Valley type of funding.
Our business environment is funny. Do you realize that startups are taxed like any other business here? Over you started last week or last month or 2 weeks ago, 10 years ago, as long as you fall in this category, this is what you pay. I was recently paying for a KCCA permit. There is a certain operation permit, as long as they're operating within Kampala. And they just simply ask you for a category of business. And as soon as you choose that category, boom, your bill appears. They don't care if you're starting or you've been here for 10 years. So there's a big chance that a media company like yours is paying the same license fee, not taxes, as NBS. You know that there's a certificate of operating license, KCCA. I think it's about 380 for IT-based entities. So a guy who is having a turnover, business turnover, maybe say billion, he's also paying 380K. Even me who wants to start, 380K. So there is that. The environment is not conducive for things to take off in a certain way. Then funding is funny. I noticed from last year's report, over 70% of all the funding that came into this region ended up in one city. I guess you know the city, Nairobi. Why? Do you know? Do you know? Yes, the ecosystem is more organized. Microsoft has a center.
Very transparent, right?
Microsoft has a center in Nairobi. Google has something in Nairobi.
YouTube,
Visa has something in Nairobi. YouTube has something in Nairobi. Facebook. I mean, like everyone. And then here we are. Do you know, I have a friend of mine. Shout out to Alfizo. He's running a great startup, educational startup. The guy had to register. He's fully Ugandan and all. But he told me recently, hey man, my guy, the way things are set up, we might have to have presence in Nairobi also. It seems his business is getting more recognition the more he identifies with Kenya. It's painful. Maybe he hasn't told me the nitty-gritties of it all. Again, disclaimer, maybe I'm not fully aware of why and, you know. But why do those guys have a better ecosystem and environment for startups than us here? Why is Guardian Pharmacy? I don't think it's the biggest chain pharmacy chain in the country. In fact, it's not the oldest. That man is young. That if he's relatively young.
Very young.
How come it's him who scored? Of course, he internally planned and prepared.
But he's also really a good crowdsourcer.
He is. But we're not taking anything away from Natif. I'm just saying, how come other...
Like, he can't be an exception, right?
He's an exception because he put in effort. But he's not the big... Guardian is not the biggest chain. I know a startup in West Africa called Muti Pharmacy, something like that. It's like a Jumia for like pharmacies and blah blah blah. So if I'm medicine, I go to this app, then it could pick from the nearest pharmacy. Yeah. And I think that's what my DAWA might be coming in to do.
Oh yeah.
I'm guessing something like that.
Yeah.
Again, we are not trying to take anything out from that. In any case, he's now a beacon of hope for all of us. Like, man, Chisoboka. But how come?
But Davis also got some money, right?
Yeah, Davis got money last year. Amazing. Davis should be getting more money. Well, the one he told us was 5 million.
Yeah, he got 5 million.
Funny boats got money. They keep getting money. I like how humble these guys get. Solomon and the team are very humble. But amazing things. But how come we don't see more and more?
Solomon is a very expensive game. That's because.
But have you read? I've not met Solomon one-on-one properly, but sometimes you read through Solomon's things and when you can see that guy has been around. He has eaten. You get me, like he has earned it.
On your feed. Is that podcast you guys do?
The one for... You see the humility in him, eh? It's because, man, I've been to the bottom of the pits. Sure. I haven't had a chance to interact or even listen to a lot of Dr. Msingu's.
I actually have him on the pod, eh?
Okay. I don't know how...
I had him on the pod when I just got that money.
Yeah.
It was on a podcast week. That podcast is it's on episode 7, number 30.
So why don't we have more and more people? Why don't we have more and more people, going down the same route? Yet in Nairobi, that's not news anymore. Like this week, next week, this week. So we need to really look inward and see what can we do. Companies too. There's a startup. I know that there's a startup bill or something that is seated in someone's chambers that's supposed to address so many of these headaches that we have.
What does the bill address?
It's supposed to address, again, I'm not trying to speak with authority, but I think the people at Otas, Silva, Kayondo, and I know Silva mostly. I recognize Silva.
Silva, there's Bernard as well.
Yes, Mokasa, yes. Yeah. Those guys have really nudged government and together with some other players have pushed for, there's a bill they're pushing for, something that is supposed to create a level, some form of leveled playing field for startups. Maybe we'll revise taxes, revise T&Cs about operating a startup. Because the truth is our economy could do better if we took care of startups. Could employ many more people, could have better cash flows. But the thing is, they are drowning. They are continually drowning. So men like Natif, men like Davis, men like Solomon, people like, what's her name? Nabuma. You know Nabuma? Chill Group? People like that are really exceptional, like as exceptional as the word can be and mean. Because those guys have thick skin. This thing is so lonely, it taxes your mind, and it's not like doing business, like real estate. This is startup in a space where no one else is, and you come and just jumble the whole story, and then set a new trend. Look at what Rocket Health has done. It takes thick skin, it takes patience, it takes tears, guts. The truth is, we need to have a special mental health thing for people in startups. Because that shit will
and the whole
test
failure thing. Like,
it will test you.
failure.
Do you know being tested to the level where your spouse is like, "Nego, bitch."
Some of us don't even cover it.
You just lose your people sometimes along the way because you feel like that person is not tapping into my vision. Fuck off. Go. And then you start feeling like, when I got money, she came back. No, maybe you failed to understand each other at a certain point. You felt like she didn't understand you, or things like that. But we need to really take stock as a country. What can we do for our startups? I believe, Kieran, when you sit through the incubations, when you go to what Mr. Ottawa is doing in a business incubator, when you look at what NSSF is doing, Outbox, innovation, blah, blah, and that's just Kampala. These guys are now set up, entities outside Kampala. Man, the numbers are overwhelming. What could happen if just a quarter, just 25% of all those numbers every year that go through all these incubators actually could thrive? Do you know how much unemployment would come? The things that government is trying to sweat with, they just create a good environment for startups because they're able to absorb. When did Pirate start Multican? A year ago. He now has a team of 8. Imagine if the environment was easier, or a little bit better, the taxations and it was a little bit different for him. If in 1 year he can employ 8 people, where is he going to be in 3? Rocket Health, 2014 to date. But most of us picked up a story in the lockdown. If we could give a tax holiday of some sort to Safe Border, just imagine if Safe Border got a tax holiday and then given a mandate to register every border in the city. Give you 2 years off. That should be enough money for you to blow up within the city. Why don't we have conversations like that happen?
Why don't you have these conversations with your friends? Since you're a financial coach.
No, Kayondo is doing that for us.
Yeah,
the people at Waters.
Conversation with Kayondo.
Yeah.
You just don't give me a date of the time. Now, you started this thing with mentioning how you went to give back to your customers. Right?
Yeah.
What's your philosophy in giving back?
I believe. Okay. You're going to have to help me understand this a little bit differently. But I hope I won't answer this, but I hope it makes sense. I believe that give all the value you can, and all the money will find you. When I went back to talk to those children, literally, I was trying to give value. Because the business was stagnating. Yeah. It was always stopping somewhere. And then someone told me, maybe if you gave more than the product, and look at where that got us. It took off. We're now in a better place. So, I believe in helping. I believe in giving value. So, even to this date, much as we always seek paying customers, organizations, we don't charge schools for anything. By the way, we do not charge schools for our financial literacy sessions. People ask me how, why. What are they supposed to pay? Pay what? How? To who? I have a crazy dream that maybe one time we could be part of the syllabus and maybe our organization could be the training center for people, to go and be the facilitators in that direction. But until that day comes, we shall continue to give as much value as we can to those who can. To those who can't afford it, we give it for free. Just a nugget or two. Out of 1,000 kids, you could change someone's life. You don't have to change 1,000 people's lives. You could change 5. It could translate into something somewhere down the way. So, my philosophy on giving back is that do it for as long as you can. Whenever you can, to whoever is willing to take from you. But you should know where to stop. Because some people tend to abuse it. Yeah. But in all this, seek to give value, the money will come.
What are some of the things you as Emmanuel are passionate about? Causes. You were talking about CSR at some point.
Genuinely,
Yeah.
My work has looked me. I'm genuinely passionate about financial education. Even away from the whole work, it's a work thing. We're making money and all. I'm genuinely passionate about it because I feel like people do not understand the level of freedom you could enjoy from certain types of knowledge. It's okay to say no. Many of us don't know how to say no or why we should be saying no.
Yeah.
And just that alone is something we're struggling with. We just don't know when to say no. So I'm passionate about financial education, genuinely. I'm passionate about wellness. I may not look it, but genuinely, especially mental.
Yeah.
Yeah. My guy. It's not funny. Mental wellness.
What's your story? Not today or today?
I had an episode with my partner and it just weighed heavy on me. I thought I was a harder guy than I turned out to be.
Though, I'm guessing the only reason you got into that episode was because of the financial bit of it must have contributed a lot. Usually the money.
To us, the men, when a man runs, when the pool runs dry, we tend to snap at everything. We tend to become edgy. Especially, it's like a wounded lion. You become like a wounded lion when you're broke. Kieran, if you walk up here and all your cards suddenly, every card is giving you stories. You'll even start telling guys, where are the lights on? You get me? So yes, it does. And sometimes, because you get used to the ability to provide and protect and, and then when things go sideways, and many times we try to keep those things away from our spouses. You're like, no, I'll take care of this, I'll take care of this. Don't blame her if she continues to give you shopping lists at weekly settlement. Because that's the family know. And then instead of explaining to your person that, hey, let's first go easy on this, you just keep quiet, snap, keep quiet, snap, keep quiet, snap, and eventually you snap too much. There are people too. It could be the other wrong. Even you as a boss, you could continuously snap at your teammates, and then someone's like, man, your guy is a scam, take it, and it came from the fact that the company is struggling and you don't know how to address it. Keyword, don't know how to address it with the team. Like, look, guys, we're here now. We're going to have to cut back on the lunches. We're going to cut back on the Friday. We're going to. You don't know how to just say that. Instead, it's just they're becoming funny. You're becoming funny and weird about everything.
How do you get about? What brings that is because you're ignorant before you get into such a situation.
Yeah.
You're ignorant about emotions. You're ignorant about personal discipline. You're ignorant about all this stuff.
Even about your, the emotional part.
Yeah.
How do I address some
emotional
issues?
Intelligence is quite a thing.
How do I address this?
Most of the time, you are not in direct contact with
Nope.
emotions. All the time.
Most of the time, yeah. So you're ignorant about how to address emotional things. And also the other challenge with us men is that we are logical about everything. And then our ladies are emotional about everything. So go later logic, nobody conversation. Even a conversation that requires you to bring some emotion. And then, we clashed. We clashed and...
but you made it through, right?
Yeah, we're okay. We're okay now. My twins are... dude. But I thank God because
That's like a win. When you make it through, it's like a thing.
I realized that many of the challenges we face in life, we tend to think that life happens to you. Oh, why did my father die? Oh, why was I fired? Why did my car get scratched? Why did my car, why? Did it happen to me? But the one thing we don't notice is that life happens for you. Life doesn't happen to you. Life happens for
What does that
you.
mean?
Well, if you crashed your car, thank God you came out of it, right? But you failed to realize that it gave you a chance to upgrade to something else. At whatever the cost, well, you upgraded.
Yeah.
You got robbed in this house. Oh my goodness, I'm living Chihuahua. I got robbed in that house. Me, I'm moving to Nalia. How else would you have moved to Nalia? To a better place. Oh, my equipment got stolen. You know what, guys? I'm stressed out. You know what, but we're bringing in some new things. How else were you supposed to bring the cooler microphones, the cooler equipment, the cameras that do arms and things like that? Because you see, it's easy for us to get comfortable with the status quo, with what we have. Okay? How else? Now let me hit home a little. I thank God that I still have my parents.
Both of them.
Yeah. I really do thank God every
You're
morning.
very lucky.
And I pray to God to comfort everyone who has lost their parents. But guys, think about it this way. How else were you supposed to grow up as a man? If daddy was always. If you still always had the mindset that daddy was. Do you realize that some of these things push you into growth?
My dad has been there, but I've never thought about it like that.
Let me tell you this, Mark.
Are you saying
When that dimension,
I need change?
let us change. To an extent, it's only natural that you have this sense of fallback.
True. Like,
It's only natural.
Space, right?
Yes, you have this safety net.
Mm.
Now, imagine living life
Safety
knowing
net.
that there is no safety net.
Crazy.
You do things differently. We've had stories of people who lost their parents when they were in high school, and then the guy had to start working at that age to put all his siblings through. He's here now too. And the last sibling has just graduated, let me say, law school or something like that. It could have been a different story if that person knew that. I'm not wishing for anything like this to happen. I'm just saying that life happens for you. Okay? When you have, let's go emotional, let's go personal. When your partner leaves you, it's easy to say, oh, women are this, fear women, all these things we throw around. Women are bad, men are trash. Did you stop to understand the lesson that the universe or God was trying to show you in that episode? Maybe things like, don't count too much. Lower your expectations. Be more accountable to yourself. Maybe, be more accountable to you instead of, relying on everyone around you. Unfortunately, we don't tend to see problems that way. We tend to see problems as other side. It happened to me. Oh my goodness, how could it? But many years down the road, and many times we don't even get to share with people, you actually realize, oh, if she didn't leave, I wouldn't have known that I can. If she didn't leave. Because if she didn't leave, whoever, and by she I mean whoever, how would you have met the person to leave? If you didn't crash that car, at what point were you supposed to upgrade? If they didn't take the other car, 32-inch TV, how are you going to buy the 70? Because you are comfortable with your 32.
So you believe in fate?
Yeah, I do.
Things happen for a reason.
Things happen for a reason. And we need to appreciate them.
Is that like your mantra of life? Nah. What's your mantra of life?
I may sound silly and shit.
No. I actually like.
I'm not there yet. Yeah. And also, I feel like right now we're on the spot.
Have you found your purpose though? Do you feel like you now have purpose to live? Can you break that down?
Number one, my family. And by family I mean my family. My wife, my children. Give me purpose a lot. Every morning get up, try hard. But then I couple that with the work I do. I'm in a space where we're not very many. And everyone questions what we're doing. Category, you think you can teach people about their money? Category was, you get me, eh? But the interactions we have with people who are 10 times better than us, like, not 10, like 100 times better in terms of wealth, I mean. How else was I supposed to meet that guy if it wasn't through my efforts, all my cause or something like that? I mean, those two things, first my family and my work, have given me a great sense of purpose. And I do thank God. I hope He continues to show me the way to bring people into, the path, the journey, so that we can. I don't know how I ended up, because I've always thought of coming here. And I saw you the first time at that building, and I was like, oh, that's the guy.
Oh, the day I came to the building, you're there as well.
There's even time you were exiting and were standing in front of the gate. Then we moved away, then you revved the engine, then we moved further away. Then we started commenting, you be Tajaji Kalabande. Then the guy, and then boom, here we are. But I pray to God to continue to show me the way in being a better leader at home, being a better son to my parents, being a better sibling being a better leader even at work, being a better spouse to my person, just being better for everyone around me. I pray to God to continuously make me better, because man, I can be such an asshole sometimes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have, before we go into like the last thing, quickly, the East African Business Council celebrated 25 years.
Yes.
What does that mean to you? Yeah, just give us like a whole thing with this council. Like, since it's East Africa Trade and Business and you're a financial guy,
Yeah.
what does that mean to an entrepreneur listening in?
25 years in, EABC. Those guys have done great work with the business community. They are the voice of the private sector. Many of us, when we think of the East Africa...
What does that mean, being our voice?
Hold on.
Yeah, how,
many
how
of us, when we think about the East Africa community, we just see the politics of things, eh? We just see the politics. But we forget that when we integrate, businesses are going to, grow bigger. We're already doing a lot of cross-border business. So you have companies like Emmanuel Bussulwa who are into manufacturing. They have market here, Congo, Rwanda. Then you have people like EABL. They produce from here but have bases across the region. Who do you think has made it possible for them to, to have presence there? Of course, it's their personal initiative, but a business environment is highly connected to a political environment. When the political environment is suitable, business environment tend to thrive. So what the EABC is that it has positioned itself as the voice of the private sector in the region. So for any company that is doing intra-regional trade or business, EABC is your partner. You run to when you have issues in Kigali, when you want to expand into this area, when you need guidance on this area, when you need guidance on this country. Remember, the region is growing. So the market is growing, but our business is growing. How can we tap into that market? We have issues with South Sudan, insecurity and all. The other day, tons and tons of maize grain were bounced. Imagine there's a trader somewhere who just sent a consignment of, tons of, how does he, they run to the EABC for that. Hey, guys, please, what can we do? What can we do? Okay, let's run tests. Hey, our friends in Sudan, they test so much. The tests say so much. Maybe the standards in Uganda say that you can have only a certain percentage of moisture, but the percentage in Sudan is saying so much. But can we agree that actually between this level to this level is actually okay? Things like that. So 25 years in, those guys have done a great job for mostly the manufacturing sector. Mostly, because that was the business. That was the playfield for business. It was mostly manufacturing. Now, those of us who are younger are asking ourselves, the business field is changing. We're going into services and technology. Services and technology. What can the EABC now, going into the next 25 years, how can they help us do? More than a big percentage of businesses now in Uganda are digital. How are the boys in Tuvalu? How can they leverage a relationship with the EABC to set up, business and presence in Congo? Because we want to travel to Congo. And we know Tuvalu as our plug. How can they leverage that relationship? Maybe want Rocket Health to break into maybe they want to break into the Tanzanian market. One of the organizations that they can come and consult with is the EABC. What do I need to do? What do I need to know? What are the rates? How can I register? What can I do? What hiccups am I facing? Those guys are giving me a hard time. The revenue authority there is saying we can't do this. So we're literally always arbitrating between the different member states on a business level.
With the taxes, how does this?
The politics of business is real.
It must be, right?
The politics.
So it's interesting
of business
here in this country.
Yeah.
Politics drives business.
Yeah.
Rather than business
driving politics. It's such an unfortunate imbalance. It's supposed to be the other way around. We wish it was the other way around. So we have a lot of work to do. A lot. You remember the MTN case?
Yeah.
In Nigeria?
Yeah.
Where MTN was told, pay this and leave. Can MTN Uganda? Can Ghanaian government have that conversation with MTN? We gave it away. We gave out all that power. Unknowingly. We're so happy with whatever offer they gave us that.
Can EABC help us pull back such amounts of power to like the private?
I believe we can. But it can if also players in the private sector step up. Do you know that we have an East African court where if I have a business wrong with someone in Kigali, I can actually, go to that court and fight it out. But many of us always leave that work to the public sector. We think the governments will do it for us. Government is busy doing some other shit. Government was busy building the roads so that you can take your things.
Yeah.
There is a lot of legal leverage that we have to survive as a region. Unfortunately, we don't know it, so we don't exercise it. Okay? even the people in the private sector have to step up. So the EABC, our mandate is to make sure that there's a good business environment for people operating in the private sector within the business environment in the region. But even you have to step up. Voice it. Write to the courts. Write to something. Go to a local court. You know, even the local courts can coordinate cases. But many of us think you have to go to Arusha. But even our local courts can help.
Where do people go to Arusha?
That's why the EAC sits. That's why the EABC, because the EABC is a statutory arm of the East African community. It was set up to handle the business element of things. So that's why EABC is always running around with our biggest partner bank is EADB, East Africa Development Bank. You see, everything is East Africa, East Africa, East Africa. And now we have a free Exim Bank, I think. We have something like that also. A free Export-Import Bank. So we're always running around EA-related things. So we can help, but there has to be a political will for us to help. There is already a sense of political will when they set up this organization. But we still have a long way to go. We still have a lot to push for. We still have a lot of English to speak. We still have a lot of arbitration. You know, one thing I'm noticing on an individual basis is, I think the people that set up the East Africa community, the original 3 countries, did not envision the part where we are now 7 members. So I feel like the framework that was used to set up, it worked so well, and the plan was so centered on those 3 that now these guys were coming in. Because you notice the bigger issues are always between one of the newer guys. Yeah. You know the guy. Yeah. The bigger issue is always around a certain guy who is also an emerging powerhouse. Rwanda. And I feel like they notice that, we are important too. You guys are telling us. You get me?
And they're important.
The truth is, let me tell you, those guys are doing things right. They're intentional. They're putting intentional effort into certain things. So, the powers that be need to reflect before you add a new member. And are they willing to, conform to the standards we have, the following T's and C's? Not this thing where someone comes in, they're now a member, they can identify, then they start, trying to shift us into a certain direction. It could be the right direction, but could we have better consensus about certain things?
To an entrepreneur, right?
Yeah.
Like Kafilika there, who's a creative. How do they get in touch? Okay, not like in touch, like go to our socials. Like, how does the existence of the East African Business Council help?
Okay. First of all, we have been, like I said earlier, the first 25 years felt like mostly business was manufacturing and things like that. Export, import, but goods and services. Now the level of the playing field for entrepreneurship has switched a little. Because if Rocket Health says we're going to Kigali, they're not going to carry a computer. They're just going to say, we are here. Davis is going to show up and say, hello, we're Rocket Health, we're here. So what we're trying to do is that also the organization internally is evolving. It is morphing. It is morphing to handle the current needs of the region. So that's why you see they're working more with young people like ourselves. People understand what needs to be done. We're also trying to learn how to communicate better with the younger generation. I can tell you almost every 2 weeks, every week, there's some form of Twitter space, podcast, or something by the EABC. Women in business, youth in business, this in business. You get it?
How come I don't see this actually?
It's there actually. Mostly the Twitter spaces. Most.
EABC or FMI?
EABC. EABC actually. They are there. The challenge you will see is that much as the Secretariat is organizing Twitter spaces, they're organizing Twitter spaces for 7 countries. So you could take long before you see a panel of Ugandans discussing something. You see Congolese, Kenyans, these, but it's trying to. They are really trying to. They are trying to polish themselves into something that is more relevant today and now. Because the Mukwanos of this world have already been established.
Yeah.
How many more are we going to expect? We're not sure. But when it comes to the digital front, we can expect more Rocket Healths of the industry. So they are trying to evolve. They are trying to equip themselves with the knowledge of how to operate now. They are hiring younger. They are staying informed. They are being also intentional about their efforts. So for anyone, a young business person, I must tell you, we have a schedule, especially in this second half of the year. It's going to be quite heavy. First, we have an investment summit coming up. And we have a special docket that, not special docket, we're having special effort towards startups. Startups and women-led businesses. Because the truth is this, guys, those two sections can really change the business environment for our people. So we have a summit coming up, and we have so many programs. I don't want to preempt the team or to prompt the team to talk about things that are not yet, But there are so many programs that are now more geared towards tech-based businesses, digital businesses, women-led businesses, youth-led businesses. Okay? We already work with partners here who already know the market. Uganda Investment Authority, Uganda Manufacturers Association, Afri-Exim Bank, all the local banks. So even if we said we want to do a session with youth startups, we can easily walk onto NSSF and say, look guys, we're ready for this now. We can walk into Stanbic and say, hey, we want to do something. We want to educate the Ugandan youth about, regional issues. How can they tap into this other market? So all that is already being cooked up. So as we're celebrating 25 years, one of the things that we're really trying to do is to not to change, to walk away from the old, but to change to be more inclusive of the future. Yeah.
All right. What legacy are you trying to leave behind this?
Oh my goodness. Legacy. Dude, I don't know if it makes me look good.
It doesn't, if you don't have.
But there are things I've never stopped to think about. I want
but
to
if
be
you died today, how would you want to be remembered?
First of all, most importantly, I want to be remembered by my children.
Okay, if you died tomorrow.
Hold on.
If you're to die tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah? And I have some sort of power. I can tell you that you're going to die tomorrow. But I also can give you all the magic in the world to accomplish everything you have today. What would you accomplish today?
Honestly? Everything would have to do with my family. I feel like the work we do in business is a given. I hope it would be a given. But the lives we're impacting, much as we're changing people's lives and all, I feel like the most important people I'd like to impact and my family. For me, that's it. This work we're doing, financial literacy, is great. It's amazing. But of what use is it for me to go out there and win the world and lose my home and lose my people at home? I don't know why I'm such a family man. It's because of the, I don't know if it's because of the way we were raised or things like that. I don't know if they know, but I really do cherish family so much. I feel like they're the most profound people I can be important to. It's not a given that they'll see me that way, but I pray that I'm the best. I pray that they see me that way. That's why I say I pray to God to be a better person in terms of family, business, leadership, and all that. That is in terms of family. But in terms of my work, I wish to improve someone's life with knowledge, to help someone make a better decision every other day. That's what I want to do. By the way, let me tell you, I've bumped into people, church, out there in the streets, and someone says, excuse me, are you the one who came to our school and... Oh, let me give you this random story.
You're like those salesmen.
Yeah, the guy who... I got to a conference somewhere, and then it wasn't even our thing. Like, I was not supposed to be part of the thing. But then I had interacted with someone, and they said, hey, man, you have interesting ideas. I think you should just come and introduce yourself. Let people know that people like you are here. So I tell guys, hello, I'm Emmanuel. This is what I do, blah, blah, blah. And also do financial literacy. Hey, nice to meet you. Bye-bye. We're having a cocktail. Then this man walks up and says, excuse me, can I talk to you? I'm like, yes. So, about financial literacy, I have a business. The man told me his problems. I looked at this guy. His problems were similar to mine. And I was like, good, what do I tell this guy? It is not anything in the textbook I was looking for. I remember the first thing that came out of my mouth. I told him, when you're at the bottom of the pit, you have to stop digging. But I told him, no.
How do you know
you're at the bottom of the pit? Because of the business situation he had explained. The truth is he had hit rock bottom. Rent areas were growing, that locked up the business. All his equipment was in there, but he was trying to get a loan so that he could... It was a mess. I told him, stop digging. What is in there? What can you lose? He said, okay, the computers, okay. What about this? When okay, convince your landlord that if it's, let me say, 8 months, you just want to pick up equipment for a gig. Okay? Carry that and leave. Because now he has to make some money. But I told him, you're at the bottom of the pit. Stop trying to dig. I walked away. Many months later, he called. Hello, Sebo. This is Mr. Swan-so. I'd like to meet you. I'm like, who is this? I met that guy, and that guy was like, you guy, you have no idea. So after we spoke, I went and told the guy I had 1 million shillings, but I wanted to do it. I was going to Arua to do some work, so I picked some equipment and walked away from it all. He said, I think like a week later, I told him, Zay, Chinemie, this guy's actually running a school, a cyber school, like computer lessons and blah, blah, blah. A kind of established place, in a very nice place in Kampala, like in the middle of town, like with good numbers. But COVID had slapped him and things were not looking good. So that guy told me, man, I walked away from my business. I just carried away. Because even the landlord knew. He couldn't just let him carry 10 computers. The guy said, I think he picked a projector, some, imagine you trying to leave this house and you're like, let me just go for my camera and lights. Furniture, everything. So eventually he managed to process a loan from his circle, I think. And with that loan, he went and started something else elsewhere. And
it worked.
It worked. That day, when that guy told me those things, I asked myself, what made this guy think that the statement I told him made sense? Because the truth is, he was trying to tell me about that statement. When you're at the bottom of the pit, stop digging. He told me.
Some affirmation.
Yeah, I later asked myself, when I was reflecting on that, how many other businessmen are like this? Who we can help, who we can talk to. And then I started doing it casually. Casually. Talked to a friend who was a businessman, Chichi guy. I think your area is this. The truth is this, guys. What we're running is a business, and we have our struggles. But the bigger struggle is that most people lack basic financial skills in running their businesses. You could know how to run media, film, edit, what. But to see those things you talked of, keeping the books, writing everything down, knowing what is taking more money, Maybe we're continually hiring a generator that, actually, if we just bought one, it could be expensive in the short run. But, every month we're hiring a generator 6 times. Let's just buy a damn generator. Many of us we don't take our businesses seriously to that level. And I can tell you, we've so far worked with about 8 different businesses. SMEs, just talk. How are your books? What is this? Do you understand these concepts? You need to educate yourself on this. What is this, this, and this? These were concepts. The concepts we throw around. Yeah. Accounting concepts. Your balance sheet is not looking. What is a balance sheet? Mark, what is a balance sheet?
I can't explain it.
But you get the concept. Yeah. Your cash flows are off. Sorry, what? My
balance sheet. Balance sheet.
Your what is going negative? What is that? I sucked at accounts in school. But now when you're running a business, there are things it is important that you learn. So that is what we're trying to do now. Can we talk to more businesses about the basics of financial literacy for the business? We also have modules for individuals, but we're trying so much to help businesses.
Which is important, right?
Which is very important.
Helping them get formalized, helping them get ready for funding investment.
There is that, and my great mentor, Tony and his team have done that, formalizing and what. I do not want to eat into Tony's cake. Okay. Because those guys have signed deals with URSB and what. No, I just want people to understand the basics of when your finance guy says, boss, we're in the red in this direction, or we take it. All your investors are asking, what is your monthly recurring revenue? MRR. When you're running a startup, there are those words, people, that jargon people throw around. AAR, MMR, BABG, or we take it. Try to understand them. And why do you need to understand those things? How do they affect your bottom line? I'm a salesman, as you can see. I talk a lot. But I also had that problem. I thought that if you just sell more and sell more and sell more, business will come through. No, at some point you also, because you can't be putting in 10 liters a day and losing 30. A tank can't be receiving in, 10 liters a day and you hope it's going to hold on to the water somehow.
Yeah.
So many of us thought that if you sell more, which is supposed to be the right thing, but how are you managing your internal costs? How are you managing internal operations? So we believe that every business owner needs to become financially literate, on a personal note, and also for the sake of your business. So we are putting out content. We want to start a podcast. Inshallah, we'll work with you.
Definitely.
We would like to talk to people who have been there before, who are our mentors. You can maybe decide to host Tony or something. Tell us about of what value is insurance to the business. Of what value is this to, But my target is mostly around business owners, your business and you. What do you need to know? What do you need to know? What do you need to know? We don't want to go into investor readiness and all, unless if you feel like there is a need for that knowledge. But I feel like there's enough people doing that. But what do you need to know? Many of us are not failing to reach our 5th birthday because we don't have the money. Many of us are failing to reach our 5th birthday because we don't know how to manage what we're doing. It's that simple. I think we can change the narrative.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me, man.
Unless you have questions.
Many, but it's okay. Another time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right.